He was once a hero with unparalleled power who successfully fought a world-shaking battle to capture and imprison an SSS-rank villain in a dungeon awaiting his execution day. But on the day that villain was to be judged, an incident occurred. As a result, the main character's older brother lost his life, not the villain. Harboring a deep hatred for not finishing off that villain, Seo Cang entered the prison, Drupal, the most secure in the world, and became a guard. And so began his execution of every death row inmate he encountered. A bloody journey of revenge officially begins. Heavy panting echoed across the battlefield, a place where the earth and rocks had been completely torn up. The main character, Seo Cang, clad in red and black, was clenching his fist, pinning the maniacal killer to the ground. Even though his entire body was covered in fresh blood, the man wore a satisfied smile. As expected, you're different from that other trash. Looking around, you could clearly see the countless bodies of Kangju's comrades who had lost their lives, now lying beneath the rubble. It was enough to show that this battle was anything but simple. "What?" Kangju angrily screamed, "Shut your mouth." In response to Kangju's words, the killer just smiled even wider. "Go on. Kill me. You're the only one worthy of killing me." Kangju really wanted to kill this bastard with his own 2 hands, but he had to hold back. "I promised my comrades I would bring you in. I face the death penalty and the judgment of the law. You will be judged by the law." But now, Kangju's mind was filled with nothing but regret. That's right, Kangju regretted it. He should have killed that man back then. Today's top story, the villain Seung Han, who struck fear into the entire world, has been officially sentenced by the Supreme Court. The punishment this killer will receive is a death sentence. Seung Han is currently fitted with a power-suppressing device at Drupal Prison. The facility that holds the world's most dangerous criminals will be where Seung Han is incarcerated. He is currently being held on the 5th floor, the deepest level of this prison. In other news, regarding the comrades of the hero Seo Cang who died fighting Seung Han, a joint memorial service for the heroes of the Equality team will be held today. The government expresses its deepest gratitude for their contributions. As Cang was busy listening to the news, someone suddenly appeared and turned off his TV. "Seo Cang, what are you doing watching TV when you're injured?" The person who appeared had a face identical to Kangju's. It turns out he was Cang Ho, a guard at Drupal Prison, and also Kangju's twin brother. Seeing he had a visitor, Cang took the opportunity to voice his frustrations. "Hyung, that Seung Han guy, I should have killed him with my own 2 hands." His brother sighed. "Cang, you made a promise to your comrades. A hero's job is to save people, and not to kill them. No matter how evil a villain is, you can't just kill them as you please. They are human too. They also have the right to be judged by the law." That memory came rushing back to Cang. Back then, Cang really disliked that way of thinking and questioned it. Easy for you to say, what if we're the ones who get killed? But those comrades had made Cang promise them one thing. No matter what happens, you have to promise us. You won't kill people indiscriminately. With no other choice, Cang had to promise them. You promised them, didn't you, Cang? Only the law can judge people. Of course, guards like us are the ones who enforce the law. But this is a secret. Next week, Seung Han will be executed. You can come and watch. For now, you've done an excellent job fulfilling your role as a hero. Leave the rest of the job to us, the jailers of Drupal Prison. So, let's go say goodbye to your comrades." As he spoke, his brother reached out and pulled Cang towards the memorial. There, they respectfully offered flowers to the fallen heroes, Kangju's comrades who had lost their lives in the previous battle. Time passed, and 1 week went by quickly. The day of the maniac, Seung Han's execution had arrived, and that was also the day Kangju's brother, Cang Ho, lost his life. When Cang received the news, he was completely stunned. A tear fell from the hero's eye. Why didn't the one judged by the law die, but the one who enforced it, Cang Ho, did? Sitting by his brother's memorial tablet, a series of questions continuously ran through Kangju's mind. Just then, a woman and 2 subordinates unexpectedly appeared at Kangju's door. Seo Cang. Long time no see. This woman was the director of Drupal Prison. Her name was Jo Seon, and she was here to talk to Cang. After sitting down, Seon immediately took out a tablet and handed it to Cang. "Watch this. It's the video of Seung Han's execution from this morning." The recorded video began to play. Seung Han was being led by several guards to the execution chamber, and among them was Kangju's brother. He quickly noticed the man next to him had a face strikingly similar to Kangju's. "You look a lot like that Seo Cang guy. Are you 2 brothers?" His brother, Cang Ho, didn't respond to the killer's words. The man continued to ramble. "You don't look like you have any powers. Working as a guard here? Huh. Between the 2 of you, who's the older brother?" In response to Seung Han's question, Cang Ho remained silent. This guy wouldn't give up and continued to question Cang Ho. "So, how do you feel after killing someone? Don't make that face. You're a guard, aren't you? You'll have to kill people just like I did, right? What do you feel then? For me, it's a bit of a shame. All it takes is a light touch and they just pop like soap bubbles. These words from Seung Han made his brother recall the feeling of executing a death row inmate. He always felt a sense of guilt, even though he knew that those sentenced to death were the dregs of society, but he still had nightmares every time he carried out an execution. In his dreams, those killers would appear, covered in blood, screaming that Cang Ho was just like them, just a murderous guard. After a few seconds of recalling that memory, Cang Ho composed himself. Because this is a job that someone has to do. I'm just trying to fulfill my duty as a guard. From this moment, Seung Han's death sentence will commence. Do you have any last words before your execution? Unexpectedly, even at the very last moment, Seung Han was still fixated on the two Kangju brothers. My last question is, between the two of you, who is the older brother and who is the younger? As soon as the question was asked, his brother announced, the execution officially begins, counting down from 3. When it reached the final second, the tablet screen suddenly went black. Director Seon recounted that the moment the execution was carried out, Drupal Prison suddenly lost power. An electromagnetic pulse attack had occurred. Seung Han successfully escaped from his superpower-suppressing device. He laughed like a maniac and said, only that Kangju has the right to kill me. The guards there immediately fell into a state of panic because of this surprise attack. One of them immediately got on the radio, requesting power to be restored. The inmate has removed his device, but before the guard could finish his sentence, he saw the inmate, Seung Han, right next to him. He simply touched the man. In the blink of an eye, the other guard's entire body swelled up and exploded just like a soap bubble. The inmate walked straight up to Cang Ho and said, from what I can see, it looks like you're the older brother, huh? Right? Even though Cang Ho had no superpowers and knew he was no match for this inmate, he resolutely picked up his baton to fight him. But in the face of absolute power, the baton in Cang Ho's hand was nothing. Seung Han simply raised a single finger, and Cang Ho's entire arm twisted and then exploded. With just a flick of his hand, Cang Ho had lost an arm. Trembling, Cang Ho used his remaining arm to pick up the baton and charged at the inmate again. You have to face the judgment of the law, you monster. This time, the inmate didn't hold back anymore. He just raised his arm, and Cang Ho's entire body turned into a pool of blood in an instant. The only thing left of Cang Ho was his prison guard's hat. Everything else had been completely blown away. Facing Cang Ho's death, the death row inmate's face was completely expressionless. Well then, I'll have to go ask Kangju for the answer. Hearing this, veins started popping on Kangju's face. So that's why my brother lost his life? An attack had been carried out by Seung Han, along with a mysterious organization. All the devices attached to the death row inmates had been removed. Luckily, we managed to prevent the inmates' escape, but many guards are still trapped with the other inmates. Kangju angrily asked the warden who was behind this electromagnetic pulse attack. The prison is still investigating that matter. Well then, Hero Kangju, I'm sorry to ask you for a favor while you're mourning your brother like this, but could you help suppress the riot at Duplo's prison? Yes. After hearing the warden's question, Kangju, his whole body radiated a murderous aura. Fine, but I have one condition. His colleagues had once told Kangju that being a hero was about saving people, not killing them. And his brother, Cang Ho, had also said that only the law could judge people, and carrying it out was the job of the prison guards. It turns out the condition Kangju gave Warden's soul was to let him become a guard at Duplo's prison. As the gates of Duplo's prison opened once more, Kangju's figure appeared before the crowd of death row inmates. Hey, you pieces of trash. I'm Seo Cang, the new guard here. What, Kangju? A hero like you is really here to be a guard, but to be honest, we're damn happy to see you here again. Upon seeing Kangju again, many of the prisoners inside were delighted. They immediately rushed forward to attack Kangju without any hesitation. Facing these charging animals, Kangju also showed no mercy. His entire body radiated ultimate power as he threw a punch. That's right, it was just a simple, ordinary punch. The ones who charged were all turned into mush by the force of this punch. Limbs and heads popped off like they were children's toys. Faced with the absolute power Kangju had just displayed, the remaining inmates were scared shitless. What the hell just happened here? Did that guy really do all this with just one punch? After taking care of a few of them, Kangju adjusted his collar. Listen up, you animals. From now on, by order of the government, starting from this first floor, down to the first basement level, the second basement level, and all the way to the fifth basement level, where that bastard Seung Han is, my execution will officially begin. Meanwhile, over with Seung Han, who was on the fifth basement level of the prison, he had just felt the aftershock. He immediately knew that the guy he was waiting for had arrived. A smile instantly spread across Seung Han's lips as if he were waiting for a lover. Cang Ju's words further enraged the crowd of inmates. What did you say? You want to execute us, you son of a bitch. Are you planning to kill us? Cang Ju still stood there, unfazed. Haven't you all killed plenty of people already? Now that it's your turn to be killed, you're acting all indignant? The inmates continue to shout and protest. The one opening his mouth is Alita, who has killed 12 people. This guy is Brooke, who has killed 7 people in total. The one saying the number of people he's killed can still be counted on one hand is named Cade. He specializes in raping and murdering children. And these bastards are screaming at Cang Ju, demanding human rights, demanding a lawyer because Cang Ju threatened them. What a ridiculous joke. In this screaming crowd, there was one who was different. He was silent, finding it all very noisy. He is Choi Go-han, who has raped and murdered 8 people. The reason for Choi Go-han's silence is because he's looking for a chance to sneak attack Cang Ju. He's a speed-type ability user. He wanted to take advantage of Cang Ju being distracted by the other inmates, to land a fatal blow and then break out. But that would only happen in his dreams and in the head of Choi Go-han. In reality, when this Choi Go-han guy charged forward, he was kicked to death on the spot by Cang Ju. Afterwards, Cang Ju told the rest, I'll give you a choice. 1. Obediently put your devices back on and return to your cells to await your execution date. Or 2. Die right now under my fist. Cang Ju's threat didn't seem to be enough to scare these villains. One of them snorted, then smirked and asked Cang Ju, of course we choose the second option. We're going to die either way, so obviously we'll choose the one where we can fight back. The terms you've offered aren't very reasonable, are they, Cang Ju? At this, Cang Ju's eyes glowed red as he replied to the inmates. This isn't a negotiation. It's the last bit of mercy I'm showing you. Now, a few of the inmates started to panic. Damn, is he really going to kill us all? I thought he'd be just another guard. Who would have thought a hero from equality would show up here? Maybe we should just listen to him. Seeing that the inmates seemed to be wavering, one of them let out a roar, grabbing everyone's attention. Listen up, you all. Even if he's a hero from equality, he's still just one guy. Faced with so many of us, there's no way he can win. Besides, I've already killed 2 heroes from this guy's team before. That's right, you don't have to be afraid of him. Let's hurry up and kill this hero. And find our freedom. This guy's words really riled up the other inmates. Their killing intent flared up again, wanting to kill Cang Ju and escape. But Cang Ju's expression didn't change as he stood there. So it's you? The piece of trash the warden mentioned. Backtracking a bit in time, Warden Seol told Cang Ju Ruculus Prison divides its inmates based on their danger level. The first floor is where we hold inmates who are serial killers. There are over 300 murderers there awaiting their sentences. Next is the first basement level, with over 100 inmates who pose a threat to an entire village. The second basement level has over 30 inmates who are a threat to an entire city. The third basement level has 10 inmates who are a national-level threat. After that is the fourth basement level, with 5 inmates who pose a continental-level threat. Finally, in the deepest part of this prison, the fifth basement level, including Seung Han and 2 others, 3 individuals capable of posing a threat on a global scale are locked up there. That's a lot of people, right? However, the number of people you'll have to deal with will be much smaller, because even among the inmates, there are differences. For example, the pair of brothers on the second basement level, or even on the 5th basement level. Among the inmates in these places, they don't have good intentions toward each other. That guy, Seung Han, was very happy when he saw someone else on this 5th basement level. He said to the girl in front of him, "Before Cang Ju gets here, I can kill some time with you." The first floor is quite special. This inmate is the linchpin for unity here. His name is Lyson. He possesses a special ability that can strengthen his allies' abilities through his shout. Cang Ju stood before Lyson and asked, "You attacked a hospital with 30 accomplices and killed 7 civilians, including a rank 2 hero, or did you kill 8 people?" Lyson cut Cang Ju off. 10 people. It was 10 people. That hero, Hayes, was pregnant with twins. This Lyson's attitude when talking about murder was extremely excited. He showed no remorse whatsoever. Cang Ju didn't bother arguing with him. Instead, he used his radio to call Warden Seol. "I think I'll have to use my power." "Is this prison sturdy enough?" Warden Seol replied. "No matter what you do, it won't collapse. I guarantee it." Hearing that, Cang Ju was quite satisfied. If that's the case, then there's no need to hold back, right? Seeing Cang Ju acting like this, Lyson started to taunt him. "You don't have to put on such a show. Even if you're in the hero group, equality, it's not like you accomplished anything. Seung Han was captured because your teammates were used as bait, right? We'll send you to meet your teammates." As soon as he finished speaking, Lyson let out a roar. His roar echoed throughout the first floor of this prison. Just as the warden had said, upon hearing that guy's roar, all these prisoners were filled with power, their bodies significantly enhanced. "All right, brothers, everyone, charge. Let's beat this Seo Cang Ju bastard to death." However, These prisoners had barely managed to let out a single shout when they saw one of Cang Ju's legs lift high, followed by a strange red flash of light. It spread across the entire first floor. The sight of these prisoners, even after being buffed, was them dying like flies, without even understanding what was happening. A red light shot out from Cang Ju's leg, and wherever it went, the prisoners dropped dead. In just under 30 seconds, fewer than 10 prisoners were left standing. All the rest lay dead on the ground, none of their bodies left intact. But it didn't stop there. Cang Ju didn't care whether the survivors regretted their actions or not, or whether they wanted to keep fighting. He lifted his leg and stomped on the ground. The dismembered corpses of the prisoners flew high into the air from the stomp. The aftershock from that one stomp from Cang Ju made the entire Ruckus prison shake violently. From within a locked cell on the first floor of Ruckus prison, someone felt this familiar power. He roared the name Seo Cang back to Cang Ju after that one stomp, which sent all the remaining prisoners flying. He charged towards them again. Cang Ju's eyes now showed clear killing intent. He let out a loud cough. 1. Cang Ju's arm was now seemingly covered in a layer of red metal. Then, with just a few whooshes, all the prisoners there were sliced into 10 pieces. They died before they could even close their eyes, watching the 300 prisoners fall like minced meat. Cang Ju's face showed no emotion as he quietly said, "First floor execution complete." Just how many had died by Cang Ju's hand? Tens of people? Hundreds. In front of Cang Ju, only the last 2 inmates on this first floor remained. Cang Ju asked them, "Choose for yourselves. Either put on the power control devices, or you'll die right now." The beefier one, upon hearing Cang Ju, immediately charged forward with his fists raised. If that was his choice, Cang Ju was more than willing to answer. A simple kick made the prisoner's head disappear. The remaining guy, witnessing this terrifying scene, immediately chickened out and quickly raised his hands, apologizing to Cang Ju. "I'll put the control device back on. Don't kill me." This guy pretended to hold out his 2 hands, as if he wanted to put on the device. But when Cang Ju got closer, he instantly switched up and unleashed some kind of magic spell to attack him. After his palm blast hit Cang Ju, the guy was overjoyed. "If I were you, I would have dodged that, you stupid guard." But after the dust settled, Cang Ju was still standing there, unfazed. This guy's sneak attack couldn't even scratch him. Cang Ju remembered something. A beast-like man once told Tommy when he was captured that those without physical abilities looked so pathetic. Tommy was one of Cang Ju's teammates. In the group equality, the feeling that excited that prisoner was the sensation of crushing someone. Cang Ju punched the death row inmate in front of him and wondered, does this feel like what that inmate described back then? Cang Ju didn't feel any excitement at all. It was just like smashing an egg with his fist. Cang Ju walked straight to the end of the first floor. In the deepest part of the first floor was solitary confinement. Inside, there was only a single prisoner still locked up, unable to escape. This guy seemed to know Cang Ju. As soon as he saw him appear, he looked pleased. "Just as I thought. I finally get to see you again. It's been 3 years, hasn't it?" "It's been 3 years since we last met, Hero Seo Cang. Turns out, this guy was Filio, the prisoner in solitary confinement on the first floor. A vicious prisoner who specialized in cannibalism and disposing of corpses. "Do you remember me, Cang? It seems your line of work has changed. In the 3 years since we've been apart." "Huh?" Cang didn't answer any of Filio's questions. He just quietly asked him one question. "Do you choose to put the device back on, or do you choose death?" This guy also didn't answer Cang question and instead took off his muzzle. "I didn't expect to see you again like this. You and your teammates from Equality." Another memory from 3 years ago surfaced. It was the day that Cang and his teammates from Equality captured this guy, Filio, around his territory. Cang saw many, many pots filled with meat. Needless to say, it was obviously human flesh. Even though he was restrained, this Filio guy was still smirking. He asked Cang, "That meat of mine is delicious, isn't it? You look like you're dying to kill someone, don't you?" He was right. At that moment, Cang couldn't hold it in any longer. All of Cang fury was channeled into his fist, ready to be unleashed on Filio's face. But once again, just as Cang was about to strike, he was stopped by his teammates from Equality. Although Cang restrained himself and didn't strike, his anger never subsided. Now, Cang finally had the chance to deal with this animal himself. Cang asked him again, "If you don't answer my question, I'll take it that you want to die." This Filio guy seemed to be very stubborn. He still refused to answer Cang question and instead asked one of his own. "Do you know why I kill people?" But before he could finish, Filio's head fell to the ground. Cang quietly walked past him and said, "I don't give a damn." But strangely, even though his head had been severed from his body by Cang Filio could still speak. "The reason is very simple. Because I want them to remember my image forever. By killing them, I become the most memorable person in their lives. With my ability, even in death, those people can't forget me. I've carved myself into their minds." That's the proof. I can show you all the memories of the people I've killed. Let's go through them one by one, shall we, Kang-ju? First, this child. Just as Phileo touched the child's soul, he saw his own arm get severed in an instant by something. Is it because you're a solitary confinement prisoner that you ramble on so much? I'm getting the urge to tear that babbling mouth of yours to shreds. Just then, a black and red sword appeared on Kang-ju's arm. It seemed to be the very thing that had cut off Phileo's arm, looks like in the face of my skill. Your regeneration ability is useless, isn't it, Phileo? Phileo's face now had a few drops of sweat on it. His smirking demeanor was gone. Before I die, let me ask one thing. Do you remember the people you killed on your way here? Kang-ju snorted, don't remember. You're all just a bunch of trash, not worth remembering. But then, suddenly, images of his old teammates from the group appeared before Kang-ju. Equality. Kang-ju, please, don't kill innocent people, Kang-ju. Do you remember us? But the images of his teammates didn't last long before they were slashed away by Kang-ju's sword. Your little tricks can end now. This action by Kang-ju truly terrified Phileo. To strike down his own comrades. Without a single bit of hesitation, Kang-ju had lost his patience. The next sword strike instantly split Phileo's body into two equal halves. They were just illusions anyway. And one more thing, I'm not a hero anymore. Now, I'm a prison guard. Phileo, fading away on the ground, uttered one last sentence before he died. You're no guard. You're a monster. A monster. Just like Seung Han. Speaking of the monster, Seung Han, right now, in the 5th basement level of the prison, he was bored out of his mind. Turns out, the girl who shared the 5th basement level with him after they had a big fight refused to move an inch. That made a guy like Seung Han bored to death. He kept asking himself, Kang-ju, when are you going to come visit me? Or maybe I should go up there and see him? Somewhere inside Ruckus, Prison 3. What is this suspicious, mysterious person sneaking around for? The big guy asked the girl next to Miss Shinka. When are we going to make our move, Miss Shinka? She didn't answer the big guy's question at all, instead staring intently at Kang-ju's image. On the computer screen, her eyes were filled with infatuation. He's appeared. There's my beloved husband, the girl named Shinka just said. This shocked her two subordinates behind her. Hubby? That's right. That Kang-ju is my beloved husband. Seeing this, the big guy asked Miss Shinka again. Isn't Seung Han your husband? It turns out this big guy's name is Canis. The girl next to him also spoke up. That's right, Miss Shinka. Didn't you launch this attack to help him escape? This girl's name is Kato, also one of Shinka's subordinates. That Kang-ju guy is a hero, but he's the most useless one, completely unhelpful to humanity. Shinka still had an infatuated look on her face. In my eyes, he's not useless at all. As a result, Shinka's two subordinates were left speechless by their young miss. But, miss, you can only choose one. This era forbids having 5 wives and 7 concubines. Shinka was also very conflicted about this. Choosing between the two of them was very difficult. In that case, whoever survives between the two of them will be my beloved husband. I wonder who it will be, Seo Cang or Seung Han. After clearing the prison's 1st floor, Warden Seol appeared and gave Kang-ju a perfunctory compliment. She hadn't expected the former hero to be able to clear the entire 1st floor, and in the blink of an eye like that. However, the strength of the prisoners ahead will increase exponentially. Kang-ju, you should rest for a bit. But Kang-ju turned back and said to the warden, No, I'm going to keep going right now. Hurry up and open the door to the next floor. Seeing Kang-ju's determination, the warden didn't stop him. But before you go down to the basement, I need to ask you for a favor. Down in basement level 2, a guard is sending out a distress signal. Kang-ju immediately asked Warden Seol, how many guards do you think are left on each floor? Is it still possible to save them? Regarding this question, the warden, Seol didn't have a precise answer. The communication devices in the basement are all broken. The exact number is unknown, but there are definitely a few guards still alive down there. Because the equipment on the 5th floor is still operational. That's the only basement level where the equipment is still working. It turns out the reason the communication and observation equipment on basement level 5 was still usable was because of that guy, Hwang. Seung Han did it on purpose. He intentionally left the monitoring equipment active so that the people above could watch his massacre. It was time to move. Warden Seol ordered her subordinate to open the door for Kang-ju to move to basement level 1. Before Kang-ju went in, the warden emphasized one more time, please be careful. The prisoners on basement level 1 and basement level 2 are worlds apart in terms of strength. Warden Seol's words didn't seem to be wrong. The moment the door opened, a horde of violent prisoners immediately rushed forward to attack. They used all their strength. From physical strength to weapon power, everything was simultaneously unleashed on Kang-ju. At the door, Warden Seol anxiously shouted Kang-ju's name but heard no response. Suddenly, a prisoner appeared in front of Warden Seol. You should worry about yourself before worrying about others. It didn't take this guy long to get close and lift the warden by her neck. This bitch is the boss here, huh? What a rare opportunity. I've always hated that arrogant look on your face. Now, God has given me the chance to meet you. This guy turned around and said to his comrades, "Hey guys, the guards are here. Any of you want to have some fun with this bitch?" But he received no response from the guys behind him, because behind him, everyone had been completely wiped out by Cang Ju. Now, there were only corpses strewn across the ground, while the guy hadn't even processed what was happening. Cang Ju suddenly appeared above him and threw a punch down onto his body. There's probably no need to check on the condition of the guy who just took a direct punch. Cang Ju told the warden, "Don't go down to basement level 2 anymore. It's too dangerous." The warden, who had just gotten a scare, now obediently agreed to Cang Ju's warning. But before Cang Ju entered the solitary confinement area of this first level, the warden gave him a piece of news. Tomoki, the one you know, is in the solitary confinement area of basement level 1. Hearing this, Cang Ju didn't reply to the female warden, maintaining his cold expression. He proceeded deeper into basement level 1. At this moment, inside the solitary confinement area of basement level 1, the prisoners in there had also heard the huge commotion coming from outside. They had no idea what the hell was happening out there. Among them, a girl suddenly spoke up. "You guys think anyone in here has the balls to cause trouble? I told them not to go, but they were still stubborn." It turns out she is Tomoki, the person the warden had specifically mentioned to Cang Ju. She had previously murdered a total of 28 heroes, and she had another identity, a former hero. You guys know why villains are always villains? It's because they lack intelligence. A big guy came up to Tomoki and cursed. "You want to die, you bitch?" Faced with this threat, Tomoki was completely unafraid. "Haha, you want to kill me? You've only killed a few regular people. Have you ever killed someone with superpowers? No, right? Then have you ever even fought one? Well, let me tell you, I've fought them before. That's why I ended up in here." Hearing Tomoki's words, the big guy wasn't scared at all. On the contrary, his whole body began to transform. "If I haven't killed one before, I'll just kill one now." But more surprisingly, before the big guy could even finish transforming, Tomoki used her own transformed hand to slash him once. His entire body was instantly split in two. Who's killing who now? You're a real idiot. As a former hero, I've captured countless guys just like you. I also know how to deal with those with superpowers. That's how I was able to kill so many heroes. Join my side, I'll teach you guys how to do it. How to hunt those with superpowers. Besides that, I also know one more thing. And that is, I know exactly what that guy Seo Cang's power is. Hearing this, the prisoners there were all amazed. "You know that Cang guy's power? How do you know? Not to brag. But yours truly was once a hero. I know that bunch of trashy heroes like the back of my hand. But among those prisoners, there was still one who didn't think like Tomoki. What good is it that you know that Cang guy is part of equality? Meaning he's a top-tier hero, unlike you, who's a third-rate hero at best." Tomoki sat there and explained a bit of knowledge for these prisoners to understand. Ever since Rauza became the leader of equality, she reformed the entire hero system. First, she redefined the concept of a hero and forbade heroes from killing villains. After that, she continuously improved the combat capabilities of the superhero groups, and finally, she officially abolished the ranking system used to rank heroes once and for all. You're probably wondering, what's the point of me telling you all this, right? The thing is, the ranking system was abolished not long before Seo Cang joined equality. No one could have expected that a guy like Cang would join equality simply because he had no outstanding achievements whatsoever. That's why there were even rumors that he had a secret relationship with that bitch Sarah. The guy who spoke earlier agreed with Tomoki's statement. I've never seen the Cang guy fight either, but I received intel that he just cleared the prison's first floor in an instant. That proves he's at least a second-tier hero. We can't beat him. But Tomoki once again refuted this. That bunch on the first floor are all the weakest of the weak, even you guys. Sending any one of you from here could have done it easily. In this solitary confinement area on basement level 1, many notorious figures were gathered. They included names like Mo Gang Kim, who had killed 1,738 people, John Zio, who had killed 1,983 people, and also a guy named Kuzio, who had killed 2,270 people. Next to him is Midi Jack, who has killed 3,521 people, and the most notorious one among them is the guy who just talked back to Tomoki, named Speak, who has killed up to 6,435 people, a colossal number. The fact that this Cang guy is strong is an undeniable truth, but I, Tomoki, know his weakness. We can use that to take him down. What are you guys hesitating for? There's no other choice right now. If you don't make a decision soon, that Cang guy will come here and tear you all to shreds. And so, after a few minutes of discussion, All the prisoners in the solitary confinement area of basement level 1 unanimously agreed to Tomoki's plan. Let's do it. Who the hell are we afraid of? Hurry up and tell us your plan, lady. Tomoki. The first metahuman to be studied was a matter of centuries ago. For many years, researchers have observed metahumans and divided them into 3 main groups. First, the group with superhuman physical abilities who possess the ability to transform their bodies to increase their destructive power. Next is the group with creation-type superpowers. They can create various materials just by thinking. Finally, there are the special superpowers, which includes all abilities that fall outside the 2 previously mentioned groups. And at this very moment, the new warden of Ruculus Prison, Cang Ho, has officially arrived at the solitary confinement area of basement level 1. Facing him are the many super strong, cold-blooded murderers here. Not far away, Tomoki and Speak are observing Cang Ho's image from a distance, because Speak's ability is brainwave communication. And according to what Tomoki knows about Cang Ho, he also possesses superhuman physical strength, just like her. Tomoki believes she knows Cang Ho's weakness because she once witnessed that training session firsthand when she was still a hero. A robot, model HR-12, began the combat training process. That was the training match between Cang Ho and the training robot. Standing before a mob of savage, bloodthirsty killers, Cang Ho showed no fear. It was the same old line, either wear the control devices or die here. The choice is yours. But just as Cang Ho finished speaking, a purple energy blast suddenly flew in from out of nowhere, exploding a whole area next to Cang Ho. It was just as she predicted. That Cang Ho guy really is just standing there taking the hit, exactly like when he was training with the robot. The prisoners with creation and special type abilities had long been hiding behind the reinforced doors to ambush Cang Ho from a distance. Now that the target had arrived, they didn't hesitate to unleash their full power to attack Cang Ho. Countless moves, countless skills, countless lights of all colors rushed towards where Cang Ho stood, just like a 7-colored fireworks display. These images were all being relayed from afar by Speak through the brainwaves of the other prisoners. Everything was happening exactly as Tomoki had said, but in reality, there was one thing Tomoki knew well. The reason Cang Ho wasn't dodging was simply because he didn't need to. And thanks to that, she had the opportunity to add something else to this chain attack. In the blink of an eye, many strange objects suddenly appeared on Cang Ho's body, clinging tightly to him. These were none other than the power-suppressing devices. It turns out that earlier, Tomoki had ordered Speak to collect all 10 devices from the corpses, but these were only meant for the prisoners on the first floor. Speak doubted the effectiveness of these things for their plan, but Tomoki was confident. 100%. Just slap a bunch of these on that Cang Ho guy. A Tier 2 like him only needs about 10 of them. The Tier 1s would need about 15. This is more than enough to turn that Cang Ho guy into a useless weakling. 1 million, who has murdered 2,421 people, would have the responsibility of attaching this pile of devices onto Cang Ho. Amidst the chaos, because of his special superpower, the ability to control objects. But just to make sure the plan succeeded, Tomoki had carefully attached a full 30 power control devices to Cang Ho's body just to be safe. So now, Cang Ho looked no different than a chicken tied up and ready to be sold. The whole crowd of prisoners was ecstatic, seeing the plan about to succeed. But no matter how good a plan is, there can always be flaws. All they saw was Cang Ho tensing his body and then unleashing a terrifying killing intent. First, Cang Ho's strength far surpasses that of any Tier 1 hero that has ever existed. It all started with a godlike punch that shattered the bodies of dozens of prisoners in this solitary confinement ward. Seeing Cang Ho break free from the 30 power-suppressing devices, Speak, terrified, reported this to Tomoki. Seeing the situation was bad, Tomoki immediately told Speak to relay the message for them to proceed to the next step. It turns out the next step for this mob of prisoners was to take the guards here as hostages. Cang Ho, if you dare take one more step, I'll take this guy's life. In an instant, 3 guards had been taken hostage by the prisoners. But what these prisoners didn't expect was that not only was Cang Ho unafraid, he even slowly raised his single finger. Next, from high above, hundreds of red lightning bolts struck down on the prisoners, tearing their bodies apart in an instant. This was the second thing they couldn't have expected. Cang Ho not only possesses superhuman physical strength, but he also belongs to the special type superpower group. Looking at the pile of corpses of the prisoners that Cang Ho had just wiped out with a single wave of his hand, even those guards were terrified. Third, and also the biggest mistake in the plan, that seemed so perfect from that bitch Tomoki, was that she was fixated on fighting up the person in front of her, someone she couldn't defeat even in her wildest dreams. The surviving prisoners now regretted following her plan. They peeked out and said to Cang Ho, "We'll wear the power control devices. Just don't," but before he could finish, his body was sliced in 2. Cang Ho coldly said, "Too late, you idiots," the sight of their entire force being wiped out in an instant had truly terrified Speak. What is happening? They're all dead. Where's your backup plan? Seeing Tomoki silent and unable to say a word made Speak panic even more. Hey, say something. I should have never listened to a bitch like you. Speak's every word made Tomoki even crazier. She herself couldn't understand why a full 30 devices still couldn't do anything to him. Driven mad by anger, that bitch Tomoki killed Speak, who was nagging incessantly beside her. You have no right to blame me, you son of a bitch. Who the hell do you think you are? That many devices is enough to suppress a tier 1. How did that guy get out? If he was really that strong, why didn't he fight the villains himself before? This is just too ridiculous. Furious with nowhere to vent, Tomoki saw a remaining guard in the area. She immediately wanted to use this unlucky guy to release her pent-up frustration. However, as Tomoki raised her hand to strike, there was a sudden whoosh. Her mutated arm was severed by something. A clean cut that made Tomoki not even understand what had just happened to her arm. It turned out the one who acted was none other than Cang Ho. Former hero Tomoki, or should I call you prisoner Tomoki? Do you have any last words? Seeing Cang Ho appear, Tomoki picked up her severed arm and cursed, God damn it, you got me. So, now you're the only one left alive from equality, huh, Cang Ho? To this question from Tomoki, Cang Ho answered without hesitation. That's right. Haha, so that means Tome is dead, right? To this question from Tomoki, Cang Ho didn't answer. This proved that what Tomoki said was true. I told that kid not to become a hero. She didn't listen to her big sister's advice at all. By the way, I never thought someone from the organization like you would dare to kill people so ruthlessly. Do those other heroes know? You also know that bitch Rausa was so dedicated to the organization. Why would you let all her efforts go to waste like this? Rausa would probably be so angry she'd rise from her grave, Cang Ho. He knew full well that she was deliberately mentioning their fallen comrades. Are you done barking? Another memory returned to Tomoki. There's something not right about this place. That was Tomoki's first impression when she joined the organization. The truth that heroes hunt down villains. It gave them the right to kill innocent civilians, heroes who believed they were the law. They had no regard for the lives of innocent people. One day, Tomoki became the heroine known as Bliss. It was for her younger sister, Tome. To her sister, Tomoki was the most amazing heroine of all. Unlike her older sister Tomoki, her younger sister Tome was just an ordinary person relying on Tomoki for everything, and her superpowers. But Tomoki herself didn't see it that way. Her job was to save people, but it wasn't for any noble cause. The feeling of superiority over others was Tomoki's true purpose. The day Tomoki first stained her 2 hands with the murderer's blood, that feeling of being immersed in limitless power was simply irresistible. So this is what killing felt like. So exhilarating. It was as if Tomoki had discovered a whole new world. From that moment on, anyone who caught Tomoki's eye, whether hero or villain, was doomed to die. To be more specific, she particularly enjoyed preying on those who had superpowers but were weaker than her. Those eyes, filled with a mixture of rage and helplessness, they were like a well-deserved reward that Tomoki received in her pursuit of pleasure. But that alone wasn't enough to satisfy Tomoki, though it was enough for her to face the consequences. The fact that Tomoki always came home late at night, reeking of blood. It inevitably made Tome suspicious, and the young girl decided to follow her sister. And with her own 2 eyes, Tome saw her hero of a sister, personally finishing off people one by one. Yet, after being discovered by her younger sister, Tomoki, on the contrary, became even more thrilled. She even invited her sister to join in on the fun. The madness within Tomoki had grown to an uncontrollable level. That was also the moment Tome's superpowers awakened, and the first thing she did as a hero was to stop her sister, Tomoki. Not long after, Tome joined the organization Equality, and was tasked with hunting down the villain, Tomoki. An earth-shattering battle erupted between the 2 sisters. Victory fell to the heroine, Tome. Villain Tomoki, you're under arrest. Your reign is over. Despite being at a disadvantage, Tomoki's madness was still on full display. What villain? I'm your big sister. You've gotten a lot stronger, haven't you? But that's nothing special. Summoning abilities don't count as super physical strength, you know. People like you are so pathetic. You can only watch your victims suffer from afar. You'll never get to savor the feeling of crushing an opponent with your own 2 hands. You'll never understand this feeling, my dear little sister. Seeing Tomoki's blatant insanity, Tome sighed in exasperation. You are not my sister. That was the last memory before Tomoki was thrown into prison. Back in Ruthless, Tomoki asked Cang Ho directly, So, how did she die? Was it peaceful? The question made Cang Ho recall the memory of Tome being gravely injured while facing a villain. It hurts so much. Save me, sis. Tome said your name before she died. Cang Ho's answer was not what Tomoki had expected. She regretted it. She knew she shouldn't have asked that question. This feeling, it's not pleasant at all. Suddenly, Tomoki's entire body transformed. In the blink of an eye, she lunged forward, driving a strike into the middle of Cang Ho's body. but for some inexplicable reason, Tomoki found herself stabbing nothing but thin air. Kangju, on the other hand, had reappeared behind her. This time, Kangju wasn't holding back. He delivered a devastating kick to the woman. The result sent Tomoki flying deep into a wall, creating a tremendous crash. Perhaps due to her superhuman physical abilities, Tomoki wasn't knocked out. After taking Kangju's kick, she charged at him once more. But the outcome was no different. Kangju threw a punch right into Tomoki's gut, causing her so much pain it felt as if all her internal organs had been crushed. With just a single punch, Kangju forced Tomoki to revert to her normal form. The difference in their strength was painfully obvious. Although he had determined she must die, it was difficult to strike down the relative of a comrade. Then just turn a blind eye and let me get out of here, Kangju. Didn't you heroes make a promise to Rausa that you wouldn't kill people anymore? But unfortunately for her, Tomoki, Kangju was no longer a hero. Right now, I'm the new warden. Tomoki grabbed Kangju's leg, begging, "Don't kill me. I really don't want to die. Please, I'm begging you." Kangju retorted, "Why don't you take a good look at yourself? Isn't that what you heard every single day? So, what was your answer when your victims pleaded with you?" After finishing his words, Kangju made his decision, concentrating all his power into his arm. What came next was the end of the villain Tomoki's life. The sounds of her execution echoed throughout the prison. The vibrations from Ruthless caused the entire massive prison to shake violently. The sound also reached Skinka's group of 3, especially that young lady, Skinka. Every time the prison trembled, she grew even more excited. "It's definitely Kangju. He's so incredible." But that same sound, on the other hand, made others tremble in fear. And at the same time, that intriguing sound also reached someone deep down on the prison's 5th basement level. He couldn't help but feel a sense of longing, eagerly awaiting the moment he and Kangju would be reunited. "I can't wait any longer. I have to go up there and meet with Kangju." But even more surprisingly, this guy, Seung Han, was suddenly kicked by someone. The blow sent him flying. In a place like this, who would dare lay a hand on Seung Han? But after the dust settled, Seung Han seemed completely unharmed by the surprise attack. "Got nothing to do, kid? Then let this old man play with you." The attacker was Kingston, one of the 3 prisoners on this deepest level, basement 5. His inmate number was 0001. He was the very first prisoner here. Facing the old man, Kingston, Seung Han actually felt a new sense of excitement. "You seem interesting, old man." The events unfolding on the 5th basement level were immediately spotted by the guards in the monitoring room. They promptly reported the situation to Director Seo. "Kingston and Seung Han, those two have finally clashed." Hearing this, Director Seo wasn't worried. In fact, he considered it good news. This means one of those two is going to die. It'd be best if that old man Kingston just gets rid of Seung Han for us. After all, the old man doesn't cause trouble like that punk Seung Han. Seung Han stood before Kingston and asked, "Old man, are you serious about fighting me?" "Of course. Do I look like I'm joking?" But Seung Han shook his head. "But what if I don't want to?" Hearing this, the old man Kingston became slightly annoyed. "But this old man really wants to have some fun with you." The first prisoner of Ruthless Prison, he was also the longest-serving inmate here. Unlike the other prisoners held on the 4th and 5th basement levels, who were murderers with extensive criminal records, the old man Kingston had only ever killed 3 people. His first unfortunate victim was the infamous villain, Caracas, who possessed what was said to be an unrivaled ability back in the day. Next were 2 heroes, Clark and Hilo, the duo considered to be the strongest of their time. 3 beings with such godlike powers were defeated by a nobody. Those who were deemed invincible fell just like that. "Does that make me the strongest person in the world?" Those were the last words Kingston spoke before allowing the government to take him into custody. He was deemed a threat to all of humanity, but up until the present, he had still only killed 3 people and had even voluntarily turned himself into the government. Also, due to the strained relationship between the government and the Hero Association, at the time, Kingston's death sentence was postponed for over 35 years. A little scuffle like this won't kill you. A promising young sprout like yourself needs to be handled with care. Seeing the old man Kingston's determination for a fight, Seung Han no longer had any reason to refuse. He raised one hand, and all the surrounding guards were simultaneously lifted into the air. Then, Seung Han clenched his fist. All of them were crushed together into meatballs. "Old man, if you want to play, I'll play along." Countless meatballs then lunged toward Kingston. Faced with the massive swarm of meatballs hurtling towards him, Kingston didn't show the slightest hint of fear. He simply raised his 2 hands in front of him, gently rotating his arms. As nimble as if he were practicing martial arts, so not even one of Seung Han's flesh bullets could touch Kingston. "I thought a punk like you would use psychic powers, but from what I've seen, your techniques don't quite look like it. Got any other tricks, brat?" In contrast to the old man Kingston, who was brimming with fighting spirit, Seung Han revealed a bored expression. "I've changed my mind. Playing with you is no fun at all." What's so fun about killing an old man with one foot in the grave? What an insolent little brat. I've met countless people like you. They're no different from a frog in a well, thinking they know it all. As Kingston spoke, he began to walk, but each of his steps was now like an earthquake. Every step made the entire prison tremble. Although this tremor wasn't strong enough to make the prison collapse, shaking was still terrifying. The director recounted that this prison was protected by 20 layers of fortified defenses that not even high-level superheroes could budge. After stopping, Old Man Kingston took a stance. His two hands were still clasped behind his back, but he bent down slightly. "Let me teach you a lesson, you insolent brat." Before he could finish his sentence, Seung Han saw Old Man Kingston's 2 feet right in front of him. Asterisk, bam. Asterisk. This time, it once again caused the entire Dupless prison to shake even more violently. Cang Ho could feel the aftershocks of this tremor. After the earthquake passed, the director asked the guards there, "What's the result? Who won between the two of them?" The outcome of the fight is still unclear for now, but it seems that the 20-layer fortified defense the director Seoul mentioned has been breached by Old Man Kingston. So Seung Han. I can't believe that old geezer could unleash such terrifying power. He's like a living drill. He's broken through all the reinforced walls here. Maybe I should follow that Old Man Kingston outside. But before Seung Han could leave, Shinka's group of 3 suddenly appeared behind him. "Don't follow that old man. Stay here. Wouldn't it be more fun for us to have a little chat?" Seung Han asked Shinka, "Who are you?" Shinsha didn't answer, and instead said to Seung Han, "We can get to know each other slowly if you want." Up above, Director Seoul was also completely shocked. Who is that girl? How did she get into the prison's 5th basement level? Suddenly, Shinsha looked towards the camera and said, "No unauthorized personnel." As soon as she finished speaking, the monitor immediately went black. Director Seoul could no longer see what was happening down on the 5th basement level. At this moment, Cang Ho had also completely cleared out the 1st basement level. Report, 1st dungeon cleared. Requesting passage to the 2nd basement level. Director Seoul received Cang Ho's report and was about to say something to him, but the signal was cut off right after she said, "Wait a minute." Cang Ho had no intention of calling back or checking the signal. Instead, he directly used his 2 arms to forcibly open the door to the 2nd basement level. Just like that, Cang Ho walked step by step straight down to the prison's 2nd basement level. Dupless was different from the previous 2 places. Not only was there no strong smell of blood here, but Cang Ho couldn't even smell any foul stench. There wasn't a single person, not even one corpse. It was abnormally clean. Suddenly, Cang Ho heard a girl scream. It turned out a female guard was being chased by 2 monsters. When this girl saw Cang Ho in front of her, she was shocked and shouted, "Cang Ho." It seems this female guard knew Cang Ho's older brother. Cang Ho immediately threw a punch. Asterisk boom. Asterisk the 2 monsters turned to dust in the blink of an eye. The girl then immediately ran over and hugged Cang Ho tightly, repeatedly calling out, "Cang Ho, I thought you were on the upper floors, and what was that just now? I can't believe you have superpowers. You look so badass. Why didn't you tell me?" Cang Ho gently pushed the female guard away and said, "I'm not Cang Ho. I'm Cang Ho, his younger brother." The female guard, of course, knew that Cang Ho was Cang Ho's younger brother. But, "Cang Ho, why are you here? And what's with this guard uniform? I mean, what are you doing here, Cang Ho?" Cang Ho didn't intend to explain in detail to this girl. "Are you my brother's colleague? It's not safe here." But the girl's next words made Cang Ho's emotionless face show clear surprise. "Ah, about that. We've never met, have we, brother-in-law? Let me reintroduce myself. I'll be your sister-in-law soon. You 2 brothers look so much alike. Even I got you mixed up." The scene shifts to the solitary confinement cells of the 2nd basement level. Here, 2 siblings are using their special abilities to control many other people. Looking at those controlled by the 2 siblings, they were all suspended strangely in the air. "Male, it seems we have a visitor today." "That's right, Myeon. I wonder how many sins this guy has committed in his life." His sister, Male, hugged a corpse and said, "That guy killed my dog." Myeon immediately replied, "Well then, it's simple. His destination this time will be hell." Returning to the conversation between Cang Ho and the female guard, "I've only seen you in photos until now. You're much more handsome in person. It's nice to meet you. I'm Ji-hong, a guard here." It's true that Cang Ho had heard his brother mention having a girlfriend, but he had never mentioned anything about an engagement. Regarding this, Jae-hong pointed to her stomach and said, "Look, your nephew or niece is in here. It's only been a few weeks, so it's not very noticeable yet. We only found out a few days ago, so he was planning to tell you this news after that guy, Seung Han, was executed." Hearing Ji-hong say this, Cang Ho could only sigh silently, not saying a word. "Oh, and why are you here? To control the prison riot? Why are you wearing a guard's uniform?" Cang Ho sighed and replied, I've been appointed as a special guard with the mission to execute all the disobedient prisoners in this WARDEN prison. Ji-hong was shocked. What? Why? Did the prison director make you do this? It seems like Ji-hong, being trapped here, didn't know what had happened in the past few days. Then let me fill you in on everything. What? An electromagnetic gun raid happened? But who could possibly do that? Regarding this issue, the director is still investigating the source. Ji-hong hurriedly asked Cang Ju, then what about Cang Ho? He must have been on duty on the 5th basement level at that time. Looking at Ji-hong's tear-streaked face and the baby in her womb, Cang Ju really didn't have the heart to tell her the truth. So, Cang Ju told a lie. He's still sending out a distress signal from the 5th basement level. Hearing that, Ji-hong breathed a sigh of relief. Thank goodness. I was so worried something had happened to him. Cang Ju didn't want to delay any longer, so he urged Ji-hong to go back upstairs, but Ji-hong wanted to go with Cang Ju. You'll need my help. I can read people's memories by looking at them. It turns out Ji-hong has a special type of superpower, mind reading. Don't worry, Cang Ju. I haven't used it on you. I only do it when it's absolutely necessary. I usually use it to provide psychological treatment for the prisoners and to determine whether they're guilty or not. Cang Ju asked Ji-hong, so how can your ability help me? It turns out the entire solitary confinement area on the 2nd basement level was already under the control of the 2 siblings, Mian and Mail, 2 prisoners from solitary confinement. Both siblings possess a special type of superpower and summoning abilities. They summon a creature that enjoys piercing the chests of its prey. Then, they use their special ability to turn the victims into puppets. And right now, everyone on this 2nd basement level has become their puppets. Actually, Cang Ju knew quite a bit about those 2 and their abilities, because those 2 were students of Mago, one of Cang Ju's teammates in the group Equality. I don't need to know anything more about them. Ji-hong, you can go back now. But Ji-hong was quite stubborn. Hearing Cang Ju say that, she still refused to leave. Those puppets aren't just prisoners. There are many guards among them too. You won't be able to tell who is who among those puppets, but I can. Cang Ju didn't understand. If they're already puppets, aren't they all dead? What's the point of distinguishing between them? Ji-hong shook her head. They still had a chance to survive. They just needed to escape the control of the 2 siblings, Mian and Mail. Let me try just once. I'll try to persuade them. Cang Ju still wasn't at ease at all, because this would put Ji-hong in danger. He was very worried about the baby in Ji-hong's belly. But Cang Ju, I'm a warden, after all. This is what I should do. Ji-hong's words were so similar to his brother, Cang Ho, that Cang Ju was momentarily unable to refute them. Cang Ju sighed. All right, fine, but before we go in there. Cang Ju immediately used his ability to create a barrier that enveloped Ji-hong's body. This is my superpower. It will be able to keep you safe. Ji-hong kept asking Cang Ju, does this thing have any effect on me? Does it interfere with my ability? But now, Cang Ju had returned to his usual cold demeanor. After walking a bit further, Cang Ju and Ji-hong ran into a group of puppets. They had halos above their heads as if they were angels, but their forms were quite terrifying. Ji-hong explained that it was the ability of the older brother, Mian. That Mian guy is much harder to deal with than his younger sister, Mail. Cang Ju didn't care about that. What he cared about was which of the people in front of them was a warden. Ji-hong closed her eyes and activated her mind-reading superpower. She quickly had an answer. The 2 people at the very back are the wardens. First, we should hold them back and then. But before Ji-hong could finish her sentence, she saw the sphere envelop her entire field of vision. Cang Ju only needed to know who the wardens were. As for what came next, Cang Ju wanted to do it his own way. Cang Ju's way was very simple. The wardens would be safe. As for the rest, all of them would be executed. That was the simplest and most effective method. The battle began with a powerful punch deployed by Cang Ju, sending the first one that rushed him flying. Cang Ju used his lightning speed to slice off the heads of the remaining puppets. This was clearly a swift massacre. The image of Cang Ju's recent slaughter of the puppets was being observed completely by the 2 siblings, Mian and Mail, through a magic orb. What do you think, brother? Who's stronger, him or Professor Mago? Regarding this, the older brother Mian wasn't sure. He couldn't judge just from seeing a little bit like that. Mail asked again, then what if you compare him to that woman, Rausa? Brother, I'm scared. The older brother Mian hugged his little sister and comforted her. Don't worry. He won't be able to do anything to us. As you can see, next to these 2 siblings were a great many puppets, from the prisoners of the 2nd floor, all the way to the wardens. After everything was over, Cang Ju finally let Ji-hong out. As soon as she was out, she blamed Cang Ju. Why did you lock me in there? What just happened? Cang Ju simply explained to Ji-hong, I separated the wardens and executed all the remaining criminals. What? You executed them already? But all the execution devices are on the 5th basement level. But some execution device was clearly redundant for Cang Ju, because he only needed this one hand to be enough to execute all those criminals. Why would you do that? Kangju? Who gave you the right to do that? Did the prison director give you that right? Kangju didn't reply, but Jia Hong probably knew the answer. What the hell is that bitch thinking? And you yourself, do you feel this is okay, Kangju? Kangju replied to Jia Hong. I'm just doing what a warden should do. What's not okay about it? Jia Hong yelled again. A warden's job is to rehabilitate prisoners, not to kill them. A warden should. But this time, Kangju cut off Jia Hong's rambling. You can stop right there. I don't want to hear any of those moral lectures. They also say that heroes must save people, not kill them, and that they should be left for the law to handle. But I myself know all too well what happens after that. When a person is determined to only pursue ideals, they will be slaughtered by those wild, savage beasts. Truth is, I don't care whether I'm a hero or a warden. I just know that I should have done this purge a long time ago. Someone has to step up and deal with these animals. Ji Hong was still very resolute with her set of principles. Kangju, they're human beings too. This time, it really drove Kangju mad. Are you serious? Do you have any idea what the hell you're saying? In what way are they like humans? Any prisoner incarcerated from the second basement level and below has killed thousands of people. All of them deserve to die. In the past, there have been countless debates about abolishing the death penalty because of the possibility of wrongful convictions, but there has never been a precedent for this situation because there is a witness with mind-reading abilities. You know this better than anyone, don't you, Ji Hong? It seems this Ji Hong subscribed to the more stubborn than a leech philosophy. She was still extremely adamant with her reasoning, but they all have a story behind them, especially the two siblings, Mian and Mail. In this whole world, who doesn't have their own story? So, what about the people who died at their hands? Don't they have stories? Besides, they're going to be executed sooner or later anyway. Whether they die by my hand or are executed, it's all the same. After Kangju stated his reasoning, surprisingly, he still couldn't shake Ji Hong's holier-than-thou logic. But now, Kangju had heard enough. He immediately raised his hand, demanding Ji Hong to stop. That's more than enough. If you say one more word about that philosophy crap, I will take you out of here immediately. After that, I'll handle everything myself. It seems Ji Hong was afraid Kangju would actually kill every prisoner he came across, so she had to quiet down and follow him. She didn't dare to spout her philosophy anymore. After walking a bit further, Kangju and Jia Hong once again encountered an army of puppets. Unlike the previous white ones, this group was black. They had red rings on their heads. Kangju asked Jia Hong, which of them are wardens? Jia Hong activated her ability and said, the three people at the end. That's all he was waiting for. Kangju once again used his power to block Jia Hong's vision. But before she was completely covered, Jia Hong looked at Kangju and said, if Cang Ho knew about this, he would be very disappointed in you. These last words from Jia Hong made Kangju freeze in place. When the puppets rushed forward, Kangju didn't dodge, nor did he proactively fight back. And so, a sword struck Kangju's neck. But the strange thing was, Kangju didn't bleed a single drop of blood. On the contrary, the sword cracked apart as if it had just struck iron. If Cang Ho knew, he would be very disappointed. Every single one of these words echoed inside Kangju's head, causing the rage within him to erupt even more violently. Why are things always like this? They never stop spouting that trivial morality, always driving me crazy. They just talk and talk. Everyone's spouting that nonsense morality without ever stopping. Talk is cheap, but is the truth really that simple? Kangju's rage had found an outlet. Mode. Fade. Activate. Hundreds of mysterious red and black magic orbs appeared. Wherever these orbs flew, the puppets there died. The rage in Kangju's heart subsided, somewhat, by taking his anger out on this group by killing these prisoners who deserved to die. And of course, that recent image of Kangju could not escape Sinka's magic orb. Along with her two subordinates, that same expression of admiration was on Sinka's face. That Kangju just gets more and more amazing since the last time I saw him. After dealing with all the controlled prisoners, Kangju unlocked Jia Hong's vision. At this point, only 3 human puppets remained. They were the 3 wardens that Kangju had spared, just as Kangju was about to move on. The door to the solitary confinement room on the second basement level suddenly opened from the inside. The 2 siblings, Mian and Mail, stepped out. Welcome, our uninvited guests. Seeing these 2 appear, Kangju was, on the contrary, a little pleased. You came to me on your own. Excellent. Saves me the trouble of having to look for you. Seeing the 2 siblings, Jia Hong was also very surprised. It seems there was also a relationship between Jia Hong and these 2 siblings. They even made an offer to Jia Hong, why don't you come with us? We can give you the best treatment. Kangju, I couldn't care less if you people are related or not. Release everyone you're holding captive, now, and I'll give you a painless death. Mian hugged his sister beside him and asked, is death the only option? In response to the siblings' question, Kangju said, the prisoners on the first floor and the first basement level had the choice to wear the restraints or die, but the prisoners from the second basement level down aren't worthy of any mercy. So just accept your fate. Mian then asked Kangju, I heard you used to work with Master Mago and the woman who brought us here. Rauza, wasn't it? But you and them don't seem to be the same kind of people. Go to hell where you belong. Kangju ignored the insult. We'll see who's going to hell first. Kangju's fists were clenched, ready to strike at any moment. Mian made another offer to Kangju. If you promise to let us go, we'll release those people. But Kangju rejected the siblings' request. Your request is denied. You're in no position to be making deals. From above, Jia Hong saw the situation becoming tense. So she yelled, Mian, male, don't make things any worse. Hurry up and put the power restraints back on. Mian looked at Jia Hong and said, we haven't done anything that deserves death. You know that, right? So we're not taking any more orders. See, Jia Hong, you can't persuade them. Talking is useless. Don't worry, I have a way to make them listen. Even animals will scream for mercy when they're in pain. Seeing the hammer Kangju summoned, the two siblings flinched. We don't want to fight you. Just listen to our story. You might want to make a deal. But once again, Kangju flatly rejected the siblings' request. Request denied. Jia Hong spoke to Kangju again. We should try talking to them, to find a peaceful solution. But before she could finish, Kangju immediately shut her up. I've had enough of your preaching. Right after shutting Jia Hong up, Kangju immediately turned to deal with the siblings, Mian and Male. They were bound tightly by Kangju's power and lifted into the air, completely unable to resist. A villain once rambled on to me about how he tortured his victims, but I never thought I'd have to use the methods he described on you. Faced with Kangju's threat, the two siblings became agitated and yelled, You're the beast! No, you're the monster! Just as they said that, with a time zap asterisk, the siblings Mian and Male, who were bound in the air by Kangju, suddenly transformed into two different prisoners. So, you have a special type of ability, huh? You really know how to interfere with my judgment. He had no choice but to kill the two substitute prisoners to vent his anger. He really couldn't understand why these villains in prison kept calling him a monster. Dozens, even hundreds of puppets, both black and white, then appeared before Kangju. However, in the face of absolute power, numbers were not an issue for Kangju. With a single slash for each, their heads rolled. So damn annoying. He had to keep slashing away at these tedious puppets. Meanwhile, the siblings, Mian and Male, had returned to the deepest part of the second basement level. Mian was using all his remaining puppets to break through a wall and escape, while the little girl, Male, would use all her abilities to hold Kangju back. As Kangju moved forward, he suddenly saw a giant magic circle appear in front of him, followed by countless huge monsters, crawling out of the magic circle. Using summoning magic this time, Since these things weren't human, Kangju had no reason to hold back. A direct punch made the lead monster explode into bits. Then, Kangju leaped up and stomped the second one flat with a kick. The rest were met by the red blade in Kang's hand, which slaughtered them all. Just like that, Male's army of summoned monsters was completely wiped out. Witnessing this, the little girl Male's face was filled with terror. However, her brother Mian still hadn't managed to break through the wall. It was too thick and sturdy. It would take at least another 10 minutes to break through. If it was 10 minutes, perhaps Male could manage it. The little girl bit her hand, drawing blood, and was about to drip it onto the crystal ball in front of her. But before she could, a loud boom times suddenly echoed as the entire Ruculus prison began to shake violently. After the dust settled, Kangju was standing right there in front of the two siblings. I figured those summoned monsters wouldn't stop as long as you two were still around. It was pointless to keep fighting them. I'm giving you one last chance. Release everyone. In return, you'll get a quick and painless death. Mian and Mile were still reeling from the power Kangju had just displayed. It had taken them a very long time, and they still couldn't get through that wall. And yet, the man before them had effortlessly smashed through that incredibly thick wall. Kangju repeated his demand, his voice filled with rage. Your power. Dispel it now, before I run out of patience. It seemed Mian and Male had decided to fight Kangju to the death. Not only did they refuse to listen to Kangju and dispel their power, but they did the opposite, summoning the most powerful entities they had. The first and greatest was the Archangel Michael, followed by Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel. All of these entities were all archangels from heaven, but in the end, they were merely summoned beings, manifested by Mian and Male's power, not the actual archangels. So, it wasn't long before the angels were easily slaughtered by Kangju. The brother, Mian, realized that he couldn't defeat Kangju with brute force alone. He then activated his power, causing the nearby prison guards to float high into the air. Let us go, or I'll kill every single one of these guards. But Kangju was not one to be trifled with. He used his own power to bind the sister, Male, and threatened her brother Mian back. If you don't release those guards, I'll make your sister a painful death. True to his word, Kangju didn't hesitate. He used his power to torture Male, causing the girl to let out screams of unbearable pain. Seeing this, her brother Mian had no choice but to give in. He collapsed to his knees and dispelled the power that was controlling the guards. In return, can you let me speak with guard Jiahong? Kangju was unyielding. Release them first, and then I'll stop. Otherwise, your sister will continue to suffer. His sister's painful screams continued to echo, leaving her brother Mian with no choice but to obey Kangju. After Mail was released, the two siblings hugged each other and then together, they removed the spell controlling the guards and prisoners on the second basement level. But unfortunately for the prisoners who had just been freed from Mian and Mail's control, before they even knew what was happening, they were all mercilessly cut down by Kangju. The newly rescued guards looked on in utter shock. What the hell just happened? Kangju didn't bother explaining to them. He just told them to quickly head back the way they came and return upstairs. There's nothing left for you to do here. The two siblings looked at Kangju and said with a tremble, we released them. Now you have to honor your side of the bargain. This time, Kangju finally relented. I'll let you two talk to Jiahong, but we have to move somewhere else first. This was because the area was filled with the corpses of prisoners Kangju had killed, and he didn't want the pregnant Jiahong to see something so grotesque. After unlocking Jiahong, Kangju briefly explained, it's all taken care of. They've dispelled their powers and released the guards. Those two kids are right over there. They said they wanted to talk to you before they die. Unbelievably, as soon as Jiahong was freed, she immediately started lecturing again. Kangju, why did you have to do that? You could have just made them wear the power restraints. Kangju is really at his limit. Don't make me repeat myself again. The bastards from basement level 2 and below have killed too many people, so I'll execute them with my own hands. Hearing this, the two brothers, Mian and Mail, asked Jiahong, Warden Hong, do you also think we deserve to die? But we haven't done anything to deserve the death penalty. Please, say something. Jiahong tried, but perhaps she was also afraid of Kangju, so in the end, she couldn't utter a single word. Nothing to say, right? I kept my promise. I let you talk to Warden Jiahong. Now, it's time for the execution. Hearing this, the younger sister, Mail, was terrified. The kid cried, trembling with fear, and hugged her brother in desperation. But her brother, Mian, was also helpless at this point. As for Kangju, he was the same as always. He had no intention of showing any mercy. Not to these murderers who had taken so many lives. All his power was already gathered in his arm. With a loud bang, Kangju's fist flew straight toward the two kids. But strangely, the two kids were completely unharmed, because at that moment, a blue protective barrier suddenly appeared, along with a large man. This person was none other than Mago, an old teammate of Kangju's from the group Equality. Both Kangju and the two kids, Mian and Mail, were very surprised by the appearance of this man named Margot. The two kids kept calling out, Teacher. Meanwhile, Kangju asked Margot, what the hell is going on? At first, Kangju thought this was the ability of the two kids, the power to summon an illusion of Margot. But when Kangju recalled the force of the impact just now, he could confirm that wasn't the case. A prisoner from the second floor couldn't possibly have the ability to create a defensive barrier. At this level, this was definitely Margot, using his own defensive ability. But why? Why would Margot use his protective ability to keep these two prisoners safe? But whatever the reason, I don't think it'll change anything. Kangju once again used his power to rush forward and shatter the shield that Margot had created. That one punch caused the shield to shatter into pieces. However, when the first shield broke, the great Mago continued to use his magic to create 10 or 20 new shields to protect the two kids. Kangju angrily looked up and asked Mago, You damn old man, what the hell are you doing? Why are you protecting them? Kangju continued to break through Mago's countless defensive layers, but he couldn't shake off the feeling of frustration in his heart. He couldn't escape this mess of emotions. A memory suddenly flashed through Kangju's mind. It was when the entire Equality group was still alive. They were all gathered together, watching that old man Mago take care of the children. The atmosphere among the group members was also quite unique. The guy next to him kept asking Tom, who was beside him, When are we getting married, Tom? We'll have a few cute kids like that too, right? Tom, beside him, didn't hold back at all. When did I ever say I'd marry you? I hate cheaters like you the most. Just then, Mago called out to everyone, Don't just sit up there watching. Hurry down here and play with the kids. So, everyone in the group went down, except for Kangju, who was the only one who stayed behind. Mago went over and asked Kangju, Don't you like kids, Kangju? Kangju shook his head slightly. It's not really that, it's just that I don't know how to interact with them. Mago then said, You just have to imitate what your parents did with you when you were a child. But Kangju's answer surprised Mago. My parents passed away not long after I was born, so my family was just me and my older brother. Hearing this, Mago froze for a moment, having accidentally brought up Kangju's unhappy past. Well then, Kangju, you can practice with me. Try acting like a child. Okay, I'm just kidding. I know you could never make an expression like that, but I'm not entirely joking. If you ever run into any trouble, you can act like a kid in front of me. The memory shifted once again, back to the day of the earth-shattering battle between the group, Equality and that guy, Seung Han. Seeing the scene of all his comrades in the group being slaughtered by that bastard Seung Han, Cang Ho's eyes bled with rage. It was also at that moment that Mago, with that same kind expression, said his last words to Cang Ho. "It's okay. Everything will be all right, Cang Ho." That's why, when only Mago's final defensive layer remained, Cang Ho couldn't bring himself to strike. Looking at Mago's silhouette high above, Cang Ho just couldn't understand. Finally, he decided to unlock Jiahong. "Hey, Jiahong, can you read the memories of an ability? If you can, please read the memories of that ability for me. I want to know what that old man was thinking when he did this." After Jiahong used her ability on Mago's power, a miniature image of Mago and the two Mien siblings appeared. It seemed this was the hero Mago's memory. Cang Ho still looked very unhappy upon seeing this image. Cang Ho already disliked it. Why are those two killer siblings with Mago too? That's because Mago had cast an ability on the two of them. Before watching these memories of Mago and the two murderers, Cang Ho said to Jiahong first, "No matter what the situation of those murderers is, I will still deal with them." Jiahong also knew she couldn't stop Cang Ho right now, so she could only agree. Mago's memory officially appeared before Cang Ho. The first image took place at an auction. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the auction for individuals possessing special abilities. This place was once considered a living hell for the two siblings, Mien and Mael, when they were only 6 years old. An auction for superpowered individuals hidden deep beneath the desolate city. It was open to VIP collectors who saw it as a form of entertainment. Hundreds of superpowered people were sold here, but the most common were those with special type abilities, and some with transformation type abilities. As for summoning abilities, they were too common and fetched the lowest price. That's why Mien and Mael hid their true abilities. And for a long time, no one paid any attention to the two children as they waited to be discarded. Then one day, someone came, unlocked their cage, and announced, "Get out, someone wants to buy you too. I heard these two kids can summon an angel and a demon, huh? I wonder what kind of thing will be created after breeding an angel with a demon." It seemed this perverted woman wanted to buy the two siblings, Mien and Mael, to conduct her disgusting experiments. But just at that moment, suddenly, the roof of the auction house was completely destroyed by some immense power. In just a flash, it was as if the place had been leveled to the ground. Luckily, the two siblings, Mien and Mael, had a shield and seemed to be completely unharmed. From above, two mysterious figures appeared. One of them was Mago. He stood in the middle, laughing with satisfaction, and said, "That's magic." The girl next to Mago was Lipos, Mago's disciple. Her identity was a 1 million rank summoner. "Come on, Mago, what kind of monstrous level is this? How am I supposed to keep up with you?" Mago replied cheerfully. "If you work hard, you can do it too, Lipos. I've told you before, with summoning abilities, imagination is extremely important. Have you finished the task I gave you?" Lipos answered. "Yes. I've teleported all the auction participants and at the same time released everyone who was trapped in cages." As Mago and Lipos were about to leave, the two siblings, Mien and Mael, suddenly spoke up from below. "Can you two take us with you? You're a summoner, right? We also have summoning abilities." Lipos was the first one to refuse. "No way, kids. He only accepts me as his disciple." But Mago approached, wanting to see the abilities of the two kids, Mien and Mael. The two immediately unleashed their summoning powers for Mago to see. One summoned an angel, and the other summoned a demon. The abilities of these two kids were quite special. Normally, children could only summon toys or animals. Of course, these two kids had successfully caught Mago's eye. "All right, then. You two, come with me. I will teach you magic." For 3 long years, Mago taught Mien and Mael how to summon magic. Imagination is the most important element for the summoning superpower. The image in your head will appear when you use the ability. Mien summons an angel. It's because the boy remembers his mother, who protected the two siblings since they were young. As for Mael, he summons a demon because of his cruel father, who always abused the two siblings since they were young. If we look at this world from more perspectives, we can summon many things. But it's also okay to just focus on one thing, just like my disciple over there, Lipos. Mago's disciple also uses all of her abilities for summoning. A single thing. Star, Anise. Hearing this, the two kids, Mien and Mael, replied to Mago, "We like heaven and hell." This answer from the two kids was also completely different from the thoughts of other children their age. Our mother told us before she passed away, "Good people go to heaven, while bad people must go to hell." Those words have always been our support. We want this world to only have what's right. Good people will go to heaven, while the wicked are punished and cast down to hell. Mago patted the two kids' heads and comforted them. "I'm sure you kids can do it, because you two are the kindest children." Time passed just like that. Then one day, Lepus told Mago, "The Hero Association says they need your help with something." "The Hero Association?" Mago was displeased at the mention of them. They ignored my proposal, and now they dare to ask for my help? According to Lepus, a supervillain named Atlas had appeared in Finland, and Equality had to summon the Hero Association immediately. Hearing this, Mago fell into a somber mood. Quickly, bring Mien and Mail here. After hearing that Mago had to leave, both Mien and Mail were very sad. They rushed to hug Mago, not wanting to let go. This time's opponent is quite tough. It might take me at least a few years to return. Hearing that, the two kids expressed their desire to go with Master Mago. Mago patted the two kids' heads and said, "This opponent is truly very dangerous. I can't let you two come along and risk your lives. Mien, Mail, this is my parting gift. My power symbol is on your clothes, so when you get to the shelter, someone will take care of you too. Someday, we'll be able to meet again. Remember to be good people when you grow up." But after parting with Mago, the two kids didn't go to the shelter because they were afraid of meeting strangers. Instead, the two children went to a remote place to train their powers on their own. In their minds, the two kids only had very simple thoughts. What power do we need to train to become good people? What should we do until we meet Mago again? What is good? What is evil? Just like that, 2 years flew by. Mien and Mail had defined good and evil for themselves and then returned to their hometown. Their thinking was still simple. Good people go to heaven, bad people go to hell. And they began to create the heaven and hell of their own imagination. And they called it Utopia. In just 1 short month, Mien and Mail were able to turn their hometown into a version of their own utopia. After Mien and Mail summoned an army of angels and demons, they monitored the people there for a month, choosing who would go to heaven and who would go to hell. The standards for that were all decided by the siblings themselves. It was based on the things their mother had ingrained in their heads not to do since they were little. For example, no stealing, no littering, maintaining order in public places, no lying, no betraying friends, and so on. Because they were so young, those things were hauntingly etched deep in their childish memories, never to fade. But even for those who met the standards, even though they begged for mercy, the two children still believed. They were qualified to go to heaven. And so, the kids turned those people into puppets. The developments in their utopia were unnatural. So, this matter quickly reached the ears of the Hero Association. Specifically, this man, Authority, the chairman of the Hero Association. An emergency meeting was held immediately afterward, but the chairman was quite annoyed that only this many heroes showed up. The first person was Banju, a rank 3 hero. According to her, it seemed the others were on a vacation. The second person was Kusta, also a rank 3 hero. He was only here to score some points. Images of the villains that needed to be dealt with quickly appeared on the display screen. What's this? They're all just rank bone? There isn't even a single high-profile case. We want to get promoted. Stuff like this is too easy to solve. It's not worth any points at all, but notably, among the targeted villains this time were the siblings Mien and Mail. These two children were classified as rank bone villains. They were probably only about 10 years old. So young, and they've already occupied an entire village. When they grow up, they could reach villain rank B2 or B3. Also, everyone needs to take note of one more thing. These two kids are Mago's disciples. Hearing this, the two heroes who were talking big just a moment ago suddenly chickened out. Then let's leave it for Mago to handle. Although he's currently on his way to Finland to deal with that Atlas guy, he might still be able to make it back in time. Suddenly, the third person present, who had been silent until now, spoke up upon hearing that the two kids were Mago's disciples. Let me handle this case. It turns out this girl was a Thu, a rank 3 hero and also a summoner type. Very quickly, a Thu arrived at the village that the two siblings, Mien and Mail, had taken over. The scenery here looked magnificent, just like a real-life heaven and hell. Of course, the appearance of a stranger here was detected by the two siblings, Mien and Mail, through a magic orb. A Thu was quite confident as she approached the angel puppets, the two siblings, and took a selfie. I wonder if these puppets are brainwashed, or just in a deep sleep. They don't look dead at all. Suddenly, with a time zip asterisk, the two siblings, Mien and Mail, swapped places with the two puppets. They appeared before a Thursday outsider. Why are you here? Seeing Mien and Mail appear so magically, a Thu's face lit up with excitement. I'm guessing you two have special abilities, right? Can you kids do that again? Or can you do anything else like that? And hey, does Master Mago, you know you kids are a special case? After all, he has many disciples, who are summoners. Hearing the strange girl in front of them mention Master Mago, the two kids were a little surprised. Who are you? How do you know Master Mago? Who am I? I'm your senior disciple. Mail and Mien immediately denied Athu's words. We only have one senior disciple, and that's Sister Lepos. Master never said he had any other disciples. Athu sighed. So, Master erased my name, huh? I was too interested in sharp things. Master said he would teach me more attack spells, and that I also needed to learn defensive spells, but I didn't really like defensive magic, so I didn't listen to him. After that, Master Mago stopped paying attention to me. Master Mago is the worst. He's so mean. That's right, he's so mean. So terrible and cruel. He even praised my talent for magic once. And just like that, Ethu suddenly burst into tears as if she was agitated. This madness from Ethu scared the younger sibling, Male. They started to become more wary of the woman. Crazed woman in front of them. If you don't leave here right now, we won't be so courteous. However, the two siblings, Mian and Male, could never have imagined that, without them knowing when, that woman, Ethu, had summoned hundreds, even thousands of all kinds of sharp weapons, covering the entire area. After the number was large enough, she cracked a smile and wondered to herself, "If I do this, will you pay attention to me again, Master?" Master Mago. As soon as the words left her mouth, Ethu unleashed all of her summoned weapons, attacking the entire village. Everything that was destroyed sent a thrill surging through Ethu's body. At this moment, she was becoming more and more unhinged. Mian and Male were also hit, forcing them to revert to their true forms. Looking at the image of the crazed Ethu destroying the heaven and hell created by the two brothers, they couldn't understand where this crazy woman came from. Soon, the entire village that the two brothers had worked so hard to build was completely ravaged by Ethu, with the bodies of the stabbed lying scattered all over the ground. To Ethu, this was a true paradise. This feeling was absolutely amazing. Just as Ethu was about to wreak more havoc, the two brothers, Mian and Male, appeared. They simultaneously used defensive magic to block Ethu's attack. While Ethu was still gloating, a puppet had appeared behind her. The angel was slowly approaching, but as if she had predicted this, Ethu summoned a giant pair of scissors and sliced the angel puppet's body in two. "Your defensive magic is decent, but your offensive abilities are still pretty weak, you two." Mian pointed directly at Ethu and yelled that she was a villain who would surely go to hell to atone. "Oh my, I'm your senior. You know, why use such harsh words? I've always dreamed of using my powers in a place with so many people. Even though I'm a hero, I'll probably get arrested for doing this, but I guess I'll have to live with it. Such a delicious meal served right to my mouth, it's so exciting. How could I resist? At this very moment, I will summon it." Suddenly, a giant box cutter appeared in the sky. Its size was even larger than several mountains. It seemed that, to summon this, Ethu had to pay a great price. At that moment, her entire face was bleeding profusely. The power of imagination is the most important thing for a 1 million level summoner. The euphoric feeling Ethu got from killing countless people had awakened a superior imagination, and it caused her abilities to multiply. Haha. I've never been able to summon something this big before. It's all thanks to you too. Now, goodbye, kids. But just at that moment, something suddenly appeared. With one bite, it swallowed Ethu's body whole. What Ethu didn't expect was that Male had also experienced a similar feeling. In Male's eyes, Ethu was a true demon. A demon in human skin. This caused Male's powers to awaken. After killing Ethu, Male cried and asked his brother, "Brother, did I just kill someone?" The two brothers hugged each other and comforted themselves. No, that wasn't a person. She was a demon. Just like that, another year passed. Mian and Male had created their own utopian world, and both were recognized as villains to be eliminated by the Hero Association, rank B2 villains in Roblox prison, and this news quickly appeared before the Hero Mago. Mian and Male, how did they end up like this? The association president snorted, "Aren't they your students?" I was about to ask you the same thing. When Mago was about to go and deal with his two students, he was stopped by the association president. "You can't be in charge of this case. I ordered you to kill Atlas before you returned. You didn't follow that order, did you? I can't believe you captured him alive and handed him over to the government. You made your bed, now lie in it." Mago still insisted on going to his two students. "I don't have time to talk to you anymore. I have to go there immediately." The association president got so angry he slammed the table in front of him. "Didn't you hear me? You are not allowed to go." On Mago's side, he also lost his temper. "Shut up. You're just a delusional fool who wants to have absolute control over everything." Before a fight could break out, another person appeared. It was Rauza, the leader of the equality team. She offered to go in Mago's place. She was currently a rank 3 hero. The association president saw this and immediately accepted. This was also a perfect mission for a promotion. For a rank 3 hero like Rauza, she approached Mago and said, "Mago, please trust me." Back with the two brothers, Mian and Male, they received news that a stranger had infiltrated their territory. I wonder how many sins this visitor has committed to be this wicked, huh? After Rauza arrived at the territory used by the two kids, Mian and Male, she discovered that many people had been hung up high by the two kids. Looking into the distance, she realized they were the heroes who had previously accepted this mission. Luckily, they seemed to still be alive, just that their consciousness was being controlled. The two brothers, Mian and Male, continued to use their old skill of switching places with their puppets. They appeared before Rauza and asked, "Stranger, Who are you? Why have you come here? Rausa looked at the two children and said, I'm Rausa, a heroine from the equality team. I'm here to pick you up. It seemed the two brothers didn't have a very good impression of heroes. As soon as they heard the word hero, they both immediately summoned countless of their strongest summons to fight. Get lost, or you'll go to hell. Rausa smiled and replied to the two kids, All right, I'll go back. In return, I want you two to come with me. The battle that followed was completely one-sided. The two brothers' pile of summons was nothing before a heroine from the equality team. The two brothers, Mien and Male, also showed clear astonishment at the power Rausa displayed, but after defeating the summons, Rausa didn't show any aggression towards the two kids. You are kind-hearted children. I believe you two never intended to kill anyone. It's truly sad. If the heroes who came here before were truly good people, things wouldn't have come to this. It's strange, isn't it? You both think what you're doing is right, but people keep coming to stop you. Seeing Rausa approach, the two kids screamed in fear. Don't come near us. Don't worry, I won't hurt you. But what you're doing isn't justice. Your teacher, Mago, is very heartbroken. Rest assured, I'm not deceiving you. Let's dispel the magic and go back to see Teacher Mago. Come on, it's time to see him again. Both Male and Mien felt an indescribable warmth from Rausa. And just as Rausa thought, Mago couldn't stand it and had followed behind her. Only after seeing her lead the two kids away safely did he finally reveal himself. As soon as they saw Mago, the two children burst into tears and ran to hug him. While crying, the children told Mago something. Actually, we have a special type of superpower. Mom told us to keep it a secret. You only accept summoners, right? We're sorry for deceiving you. You don't need us anymore, do you? A heroine named Athu came here and told us that. Mago went from one surprise to another. My student, Mien and Male, besides Lipos and you two, I haven't taken any other students. I've only met Athu once and just showed her a few things. And so, the three of them were reunited after 3 long years. They shared with each other the stories of what they had experienced during those 3 years. The two brothers, Mien and Male, told Teacher Mago how they had strived to be good children and how everyone misunderstood their efforts. The two still didn't understand why people came to stop them from what they were doing. While Mago was quietly observing the two children, Rausa appeared. Are you done talking to them? Although no civilians were killed, they took thousands of civilians their hostage and also killed a hero. It will be very difficult for them to be acquitted in court. Mago sighed and asked Rausa, they're just misguided children. They listened and dispelled the magic. If you hand the children over to me, I will teach them where they went wrong. Rausa wanted that too, but she could only shake her head. I'm afraid I can't do that. Mago, the law that the association president passed regarding the execution of minors. Even though they are children, the law is the law. Besides, the job of heroes like us isn't to rehabilitate criminals. But I also sympathize with you. This world still has too many problems. From now on, would you like to cooperate with me? I will change this world. Mago looked towards the kids and answered Rausa, I have one condition. Don't let anyone harm them until the two of them are grown up. May I use my ability on them? Until they grow up, they won't run into any trouble. And so, Mago used her ability to create a life shield to protect the two brothers, Mien and Male. That was the entire memory of the ability Mago had used on the two brothers. After watching this memory, Kangju grew a bit quiet. Then, another memory continued, playing back in Kangju's mind. You're Kangju, aren't you? Cang Ho told me a lot about you. Are you willing to change this world with me? That was the first time Kangju met Rausa. Kangju started to get back up, after seeing the memory of Mago and the two kids. Seeing Kangju about to make a move again, Mien quickly explained, we were only judging people, based on our own principles. The essence of law is a principle created by the people of this world, isn't it? How are we any different from you? Jia Hong also spoke up, trying to reason with Kangju. Kangju, Cang Ho and I were assigned to intensively rehabilitate these two kids. I'm not saying the kids did nothing wrong, but first, we need to understand what they did wrong. But Kangju didn't give Jia Hong a chance to finish his sentence. Once again, Jia Hong was trapped inside a power orb created by Kangju. Kangju slowly, step by step, walked toward the two kids. Mien and Male pleaded, please, we're begging you. We think we truly know we were wrong. Asterisk sob times teacher, save us. Please spare our lives. In response to the two children's pleas and begging, Kangju raised his fist without any hesitation. Asterisk, bam, asterisk. Another tremor shook the entire Ruculus prison. This was probably the strongest tremor since this prison was created, but looking closely, you could see the two kids, Mien and Male, were still alive. Kangju hadn't attacked them. Instead, he had slammed his fist into the ground with immense force. Looking closely now, veins were bulging on Kangju's face. He was so angry he was gritting his teeth hard enough to draw blood. The emotions welling up inside him were making Kangju uncomfortable to the point of going insane. He had thought that the two brothers, Mayan and Male, would have a happy ending after being spared by Kangju, but life is truly ironic. Before the two kids could even understand what was happening, their bodies were sliced into 100 pieces by some terrifying power. From behind the two kids, Sinka and her two subordinates appeared. She was the one who had attacked the brothers, Mayan and Male. Kangju was surprised by the appearance of this strange woman and at the same time was stunned by the deaths of the two children that he had just spared. Kangju, why are you thinking so much? It doesn't suit your personality at all. Now that I've met you, I see you're more handsome than I imagined. It's a pleasure to meet you, my future husband. I'm Sinka. She was still rambling on when she suddenly saw Kangju's arm, swinging at her, but that arm of Kangju's was blocked by his subordinate, Canis, before it could land. When someone is talking, you should have the decency to listen. Unexpectedly, Lady Sinka scolded Canis. He will soon be your master. You're the one being disrespectful, understand? Hearing this, Canis could only bow his head and apologize to the lady. Sinka cleared her throat. Well then, let me introduce myself again. My name is... Before she could finish, she once again saw Kangju's fist flying straight at her face. However, Kangju's punch couldn't break through the defensive layer that Sinka had created. You're so impatient. After all, we're going to be seeing each other for a long time. Wouldn't it be better to talk a little? My name is Sinka. Special type superpower. Spatial control. I will become the eve of humanity's future. Facing Sinka, Kangju looked up at the sky and sighed. This is so tiring. Another crazy bitch crawled out of nowhere. In response to Kangju's insult, Sinka wasn't angry at all and even claimed to be the most rational person in the world. Hey Kangju, do you know that humanity is in great danger? Humanity is degenerating day by day. At this rate, we will soon disappear from the world. Tell me, who is the real threat to our human race? You were once part of the equality group, so you probably think the cause of everything is the villains imprisoned in this jail. Or maybe it's the former tyrannical heroes. Unfortunately, the truth is the complete opposite. The thing that is constantly devouring humanity is none other than those living under the guise of ordinary people, existing without superpowers. People with this gene group must be destroyed. Only those who possess superior genetic codes can create the future generation. But because of the useless sacrifices of those with superior genetic codes, the gene group that should have been eliminated is constantly multiplying. Think about it. Equality's second generation of heroes, led by Rausa, all possessed the most amazing genetic codes. But why did they still die, even though their abilities were supposed to make them immortal? The elimination of weak elements is inevitable, but they insisted on preventing it. Kangju, you'll be fine. You're not a hero anymore. By this point, you must be enjoying the feeling of eliminating the weak gen trash, right? I fell in love with you the moment I saw you take action against them. Ruculus Prison is a place that gathers people born to lead the future generation, but they are imprisoned here, suffering all kinds of injustice just because they killed those inferior humans. After eliminating all the heroes who constantly hinder the evolution of mankind, and those inferior people too, we will build a world where only people with superior superpowers exist, and we will call it Alpha Earth. You don't have to worry. If those heroes change their minds and want to join us, we'll happily agree. After listening to Sinka's long, insane speech, Kangju sighed in exasperation. I've been trying not to kill anyone here who isn't an inmate, but it seems I have no choice. Hearing Kangju say that, Sinka's eyes lit up. Kill right here? Wow, you really get me so quickly. Her subordinate, Kato, reminded her from behind. I don't think he means what you think he means, my lady. Oh, Sinka. Sinka didn't care whether Kangju meant the same thing she did or not. Long story short, you're Adam, and I'm Eve. Our children will lead the new era of humanity. To be honest, at first I thought Seung Han was Adam, and I used an EMP to save him, but the security here is stricter than I thought. This Ruculus prison is really sturdy. Not a single external impact could shake it. So, after getting my hands on the internal schematics, a specially made EMP weapon was detonated from inside the prison using my special ability. Yes, after that, I met and talked with that Seung guy, but he hasn't even hit puberty yet. You know, superpowers only reach their peak after puberty, right? But time is precious. Nothing can stop me. My name is Sinka, which means full of imagination. I've come up with a wonderful solution for before Seung Han is old enough. I will work with you for the good of humanity. Once that Seung Han guy grows up, I will work with him also for the good of humanity. I've found a way to preserve the genetic codes of the two strongest people. What do you think of my plan? The two of you could even become a family, despite not sharing the same blood. You two could even reconcile. Isn't that wonderful? After Sinka's very, very long speech, finally, the only thing that remained in Kangju's mind was the question. So you guys are the masterminds behind the electromagnetic pulse attack, right? Kangju's question made Sinka suddenly remember something. Ah, that's right. Your brother is a prison guard, isn't he? He must have died in the EMP attack, right? It's okay. You can make a new family with me. A really big family, huh? So Cangju, have you made your decision? Of course, by now, Cangju already had his answer. I take back what I said earlier about killing you. I'm going to make you wish you were dead, with your body torn apart and your bones shattered into pieces. As he said this, Cangju's expression was terrifying, like a demon from hell itself. Despite the handsome rage on Cangju's face, that wench Sinka was still being playful. Why would you want to tear me to shreds? It's normal for a married couple to have a little disagreement. It's a perfectly normal thing. If we interact a little, perhaps we'll understand each other even better. Right, my dear husband Cangju? Cangju was clearly showing his anger by using his bare hands to tear through the protective barrier of Sinka. This action only made Sinka feel even more roused. Meanwhile, her subordinate, Canis, sensed that something was off. Just as the shield was about to break, that Sinka woman just slightly raised her hand and Cangju, who was standing right in front of her, suddenly vanished. Without a trace, it turned out that Cangju was now floating in midair, right above Duplo's prison. It seems this was Sinka's teleportation ability. Sinka appeared right behind Cangju. Whatever you want to do it out here. Remember to cool your head before you come back. As soon as she finished speaking, Sinka disappeared once again. Cangju was truly furious now. His entire body radiated a heavenly wrath. Using his full power, he shot straight back into the prison, punching through the roof of the prison and returned to his original position in less than 10 seconds. This truly surprised Sinka and her two subordinates. As soon as he returned, Cangju didn't say a word, and immediately rushed to relentlessly attack the three of them. But strangely enough, Cangju couldn't land a single hit on Sinka's group. It was as if they were playing a game of tag with each other. Whenever Cangju rushed in to attack, she and her two subordinates would disappear into a teleportation gate and reappear somewhere else. Each of Cangju's kicks was incredibly powerful, but if they couldn't hit their target, they were meaningless. After dodging Cangju's kick, that wench Sinka appeared and taunted him. The gate is about to close. Hurry up and catch me. Cangju let out a soft yell and activated Mode 1. Sinka immediately recognized this power of Cangju's. He activated it once before on the first floor. After activating Mode 1, Cangju's entire left arm looked like a monster's arm. Once again, he used his lightning speed to rush and attack Sinka, but just like before, she would disappear whenever he got close. This repeated over and over again, countless times, until one moment, when Cangju's transformed arm almost managed to touch Sinka's body. This time, another of Sinka's subordinates, Kato, had to intervene. She jumped onto Cangju, restraining his body while letting out a meow like a cat. This action from Kato earned a scolding from Lady Sinka. Everything was going so well. Why did you get in the way? Kato replied. Lady Sinka, if he had caught you, you would have been a goner. Just as she finished speaking, Kato was slammed headfirst into the ground by Cangju. Not just once, but Cangju grabbed her head and repeatedly smashed it into the ground until the floor was shattered. Fresh blood flowed everywhere before Cangju finally stopped. It seemed as if Kato was dead, but then she suddenly reappeared next to Sinka. See, milady? I told you, if he grabs you, you're dead for sure. This time, for some reason, that wench. Sinka was no longer showing her playful smile. She suddenly burst into tears, blaming Cangju. Those jeans are so precious. Why did they drop so drastically? Cangju couldn't care less about her mood swings. He once again changed his power, activating Mode 5. Countless red and black orbs appeared around his body. This time, it seems Sinka also wanted to make a move. She also shouted, "Multidimensional space," after Sinka's shout. Many multidimensional space gates suddenly appeared, so many that they covered the entire room in the prison. From within each of those space gates, a figure could be seen stepping out. Welcome, new humans. They will be the next wardens from this moment on. Let's run through the individuals who escaped from basement level 3 through Sinka's teleportation gates. First, a guy named Atlas stepped out. I can't believe Margot is dead too. I should have been the one to do it. From another gate on basement level 3, a woman named Ho, a physical type, also stepped out. Who will be my master? The third person to emerge was an old man named Friature. I wonder if anyone will welcome this old man. The fourth was Natura, a special ability type who looked very young. Fifth was Becky New, a special ability type. I'm scared. I'm so scared. I'll have to kill someone to feel less scared. Sixth was Vidi, a special ability type. A hero wearing a neat office uniform? This looks interesting. Seventh was Moriz, a special ability type. As soon as he appeared, he scolded the sixth guy, Vidi. You rude bastard, who gave you permission to smoke wherever you please? Next, two people appeared simultaneously. Sinxi, a physical type, and Tiburon, a physical type. The last one to appear from basement level 3 was Ju Young, a special ability type. Those were all the individuals who escaped from their cells that Cang Ju would have to face. But it wasn't just basement level 3. A similar situation occurred on basement level 4. This girl is Tatsu Jin, who possesses a dual physical and special ability type. Next was Steven Universe. To him, only the weak need to use weapons. The third was Terapia, a physical type. He didn't say much. Perhaps he'll die an early death at Cang Ju's hands. The fourth was Maledity, also a dual type user of summoning and special abilities. And next was Hero, a special ability type. He didn't say much either, probably will also die soon. And finally, the two remaining individuals from basement level 5 also stepped before Cang Ju. First was the girl who hasn't said anything since her encounter with Seung Han. Her name is Ahura, a special ability type. To this day, she still hasn't uttered a single word. Next up was a familiar face, Seung Han, a special ability type, Seo Cang Ju's sworn enemy. Upon seeing Cang Ju again, this guy was overjoyed. As if Cang Ju were his soulmate, it seems that the moment they met again, this Seung Han guy pushed the rage inside Cang Ju to its absolute peak. Compared to his anger towards the previous prisoners, Cang Ju's fury now was completely uncontrollable. Cang Ju was seen letting out a roar. Mode 0. His entire body completely transformed, and this was also the first time Cang Ju had used the power of this form. The very instant his body finished transforming, Cang Ju, now covered in a blazing red aura, immediately charged straight towards Seung Han. On the other hand, Seung Han showed no sign of fear. He was even extremely excited, wanting to play with Cang Ju. Asterisk boom. Asterisk, two overwhelming powers immediately clashed, looking just like one side of fire and one side of water relentlessly fighting each other. The sound seemed to want to swallow everything. It seeped into every nook and cranny of the sturdy prison. The aftershock of that earth-shattering battle caused even the villains in the deeper levels below to panic for a moment. At this time, up in the control room, many guards were telling Director Soul that they needed to leave this place. If a battle between those two monsters breaks out, this place won't hold. Director Soul now looked completely bewildered. Why did things turn out like this? This isn't going as I thought. Right now, all the criminals on basement levels 3 and 4, who were captured by the Equality Heroes, were now witnessing Cang Ju's power firsthand. In reality, not a single one of them had ever seen Cang Ju's true power in his combat form. But now they all understood why that wench Rauza forbade anyone from fighting Cang Ju head-on. Because his nickname is the Grim Reaper. If that title of Grim Reaper is true, then this is his Grim Reaper form. All sorts of emotions were showing on the villains' faces. As they looked at Cang Ju, some felt extremely excited. So cool. My inspiration is truly overflowing. Others were feeling jealous. A special type superpower? I guess I can't steal that one then. And there were those who were showing sadness. Why would you do that, Cang Ju? It was so hard for me to collect those 10 good genes, and especially, among them, one guy was showing extreme joy. It was none other than Seung Han. Cang Ju, why didn't you use that form when you fought me last time? You were capable of so much more, but this power is truly beyond my imagination. You still have plenty of secrets, don't you? As soon as Seung Han finished speaking, he immediately fired countless magic orbs at Cang Ju. It immediately made Cang Ju lose his footing and sent him flying, but just as he regained his balance, Cang Ju once again rushed forward, attacking Seung Han ferociously. As he ran, Cang Ju's power swept across the entire floor. However, as he got right in front of Seung Han, Cang Ju's attack was blocked by his blue power. I condensed the space in front of me long ago. Cang Ju's entire body was now locked in place by Seung Han's power. Then, with another loud boom, smoke billowed everywhere. It was impossible to see what happened in there. The power that Seung Han displayed made the villains there even more impressed. He's this strong just using his ability. He didn't even have to break a sweat fighting hand to hand, and he's just a teenager. How much stronger will he be in a few years when he's an adult? Seung Han raised his hand and called out to Cang Ju. I know that wasn't enough to take you down. Come on out, Cang Ju. Since Seung Han was asking for it, Cang Ju was happy to oblige. But the moment he appeared, Cang Ju landed a punch right in Seung Han's face. This time, it was a direct hit right on the mouth. It made him spit out a mouthful of fresh blood. Without hesitation, Cang Ju followed up with another extremely powerful punch right to Seung Han's stomach while he was in freefall. Slam! Seung Han's small body was sent flying by Cang Ju's punch, smashing hard into the solid wall. What a fascinating battle between monsters. The moment that comment was made, those two villains were immediately beheaded by Cang Ju. He had just been preoccupied with fighting Seung Han until now. That didn't mean he was going to spare this bunch of villains. But when Cang Ju rushed to attack Atlas, the guy used Mago's defensive magic to block him. That Mago's defensive spell truly is a masterpiece. Too bad he died so soon. Seeing a former comrade's defensive spell again, Doesn't it make you nostalgic, Kang-ju? It seemed this taunt from Atlas had made Kang-ju's blood boil. Kang-ju's next punch shattered Mago's defensive layer to pieces, making Atlas exclaim from inside, "I'm jealous of your power," as soon as the shield was shattered. Kang-ju was suddenly hit by a flying kick to the middle of his back from a villain named Hero. After that kick, Kang-ju seemed completely unharmed. He slowly stood up once again, radiating a terrifying aura. That guy, Seung Han's voice rang out once more. "Everyone, stop! Seo Cang-ju, you're mine. You have to play with me. But no matter how I look at it, you still seem to be hiding something. It was the same before, and it's the same now. Is it because of those prison guards that you're holding back? You're being too soft. Kang-ju, we can't go on like this here. I'll create a playground just for the two of us." After that, Seung Han was seen raising his hand to the sky and clenching it hard. Immediately, the entire WARDEN prison began to shake violently. A second later, it seemed WARDEN prison, which was famed for being indestructible, had begun to collapse. The director and the other guards were utterly bewildered. The prison they had always been so confident in was now starting to fall apart, but they were quickly enveloped by a stream of red power that formed countless protective barriers around them, safely getting them out of this terrifying place. After using his power, and still not being able to make the place collapse completely, Seung Han had to admit one thing. This place is pretty sturdy. But before he could finish speaking, he saw Kang-ju rushing at him once again, preparing to punch him straight in the face. But once again, Kang-ju was caught by one of Sinka's spatial gates, which appeared out of nowhere, teleporting him elsewhere. You shouldn't disturb others. When they're using their abilities, you know, Kang-ju. We should get out of here too, right? This place looks like it's about to give way. The villain Tatsujin, who was next to Sinka, suddenly bent down and used her special ability to turn the prison's solid materials into a sword. Afterwards, she used that very sword to slash the nearby wall, creating an escape route. Although quite surprised by Tatsujin's power, Sinka thought she was wasting too much energy, because they could have just left through the gate that Sinka had created. Meanwhile, Kang-ju had been teleported by Sinka right into the city's center. The sudden appearance of a man covered in red threw the citizens into a panic. But their confusion didn't last long, as Kang-ju was once again pulled back through a teleportation gate. He came and went like the wind, leaving the citizens bewildered. They thought it was a villain who had just escaped from prison. Now, upon his return, Kang-ju could no longer recognize WARDEN prison. It had become a pile of rubble, gathered into a giant sphere by Seung Han's power. The moment he saw Kang-ju teleport back, Seung Han, who was high above, immediately directed the giant sphere towards Kang-ju. Then, boom. All the materials inside were released, leading to a massive explosion. This time, it was just as Seung Han had said. A new playground had been created. It was a fighting ring exclusively for him and Kang-ju, with nothing left to interfere with their battle. Even Kang-ju himself couldn't have expected that the aftershock of the explosion would blow off a part of his mosero around his right eye. Below, two monsters prepared for an epic battle, while above, many villains watched the fight unfold. Sinka, taking the lead, ordered everyone, "From now on, no one is to interfere with them. Our job is just to sit back and watch." The reason that all the villains from basements 3 and 4 obeyed Sinka, even though they didn't seem like the type to do so, was that she used the prisoner's desires and emotion that every human possesses, and successfully recruited them to join Earth Alpha. But there was another reason that made them so obedient. For example, Atlas had once asked Sinka what would happen if he refused to join Earth Alpha. Sinka's answer was very simple: "Then you will die." This second reason was very simple, but also extremely effective when dealing with villains. After Sinka had conveyed her desire to Seung Han, he had burst out laughing because it sounded so interesting. "So, to create a new human race, you want to marry Kang-ju, and then marry me too? How interesting." "Yes, but there's one problem. I find fighting that Seo Cang-ju guy much more interesting than your proposal." Sinka quickly explained, "If it's just for this brief moment of fun, you'll just become a dopamine addict. You need to think long-term. If you kill Kang-ju now, what happens after? There will be nothing left to entertain you." But Seung Han still replied cheerfully, "Who's to say I'll even be alive by then to worry about it? But I can certainly die while overflowing with joy." But Sinka's next words gave Seung Han pause. "If I have one child with Kang-ju and another with you, Seung Han, then after they grow up, they will entertain you. And as you mature, you'll become even stronger. At that point, won't fighting Kang-ju be much more interesting? You should think about the future a little. If we cooperate, you'll be able to enjoy that pleasure for the rest of your life." These words from Sinka had indeed tempted Seung Han. He finally decided to go along with the crazy plan of Sinka's. "But there's still one thing. I have no interest in you whatsoever. How could we possibly get married in the future?" But Sinka remained very confident in herself. "Don't worry, you'll feel differently by then. I'm sure of it. Back in the present, the battle between the two monsters continued to rage. This time, Cang Ho again rushed in and landed a punch to Seung Han's stomach. Seung Han's small body was sent flying once again, but despite that, he cheerfully got back on his feet. Looks like using one hand isn't enough against you, huh, Cang Ho? Why aren't you saying anything? Are you going to be silent this whole time? Or can you just not speak in that form? Oh, do you know what I have in my hand? It's your beloved older brother. Those words from Seung Han successfully awakened the beast inside Cang Ho. Cang Ho roared, "Damn it, you're so dead, you little punk," and charged straight at Seung Han. He, on the other hand, was surprised and exclaimed, "Oh, so you can still talk in this form, huh?" To stop the enraged Cang Ho, Seung Han used his special ability. He turned the surrounding rocks into sharp, spear-like shapes. Cang Ho simply threw a punch, shattering those rocks to pieces. But the cunning Seung Han manipulated the corpse of Cang Ho's brother, bringing it right in front of him, which distracted Cang Ho. He couldn't bring himself to attack his own brother's body. As a result, Seung Han took this opportunity to launch a palm strike that sent Cang Ho flying. "Ha ha ha, looks like you're at your wit's end, huh? Suddenly, I have an idea. If I were to eat this thing, you wouldn't be able to bring yourself to attack me, right?" Every word from Seung Han made the rage inside Cang Ho grow even greater. But looking closely, it seems a bit too big to swallow. I guess I'll have to shrink it down a bit. Before Seung Han could even do that, he was hit by Cang Ho, who suddenly appeared and kicked him in the gut. His small body was kicked flat against the ground. Cang Ho then continued to pour power into his fist, this time landing a direct punch to Seung Han's face. Pow, pow, pow. Every punch Cang Ho threw made the ground shake. The heavens shook, and the earth crumbled. The villains in the back watched this terrifying battle. Each of them had a different expression, but not a single one dared to interfere. Suddenly, that guy Seung Han grabbed Cang Ho's arm, then he cracked a smile. At the same time, his whole body emitted a strange blue light. Boom! A beam of light shot straight up to the sky, passing through the bodies of the villains watching nearby. To Shinka, this scene was truly beautiful. Why can't the two of them just make up? Wouldn't that be better? But her two subordinates behind her could be certain of one thing. It was clear that these two monsters could never make up with each other. Besides, the burly subordinate, Canis, speculated that the battle between these two monsters seemed to be reaching its end. As of now, Cang Ho had been knocked unconscious on the ground by Seung Han's last attack. Looking at Seung Han's condition, he didn't seem to be in much better shape either. His entire body was covered in wounds, bleeding profusely. Cang Ho had been knocked out of his zero state by Seung Han's attack. He could only tremble as he tried to get up, but Cang Ho's eyes still showed clear determination. It seemed he wouldn't give up until he killed the bastard in front of him with his own hands. Cang Ho was seen kneeling on one knee, as that familiar red power once again gathered towards him. Suddenly, after that, a giant red wall suddenly appeared in front of the villains. This thing appeared so quickly that they couldn't understand what had just happened. They also couldn't observe what was happening inside. Meanwhile, Seung Han, who was inside, was still smiling. "Just how strong are you, Cang Ho? You're truly invincible. So how are you feeling now, Cang Ho? What's it like to kill someone? You feel disappointed just like me, don't you? With just one touch, those guys disappear instantly. How is that satisfying enough for you to release all the power you've been holding back for so long?" Cang Ho snorted, "Shut your damn mouth." "Whoa, so fierce. Don't you feel relieved? After unloading all those pent-up emotions on me? You must have been so restless, having to hold back your power for all that time, because you had to hang around with that trashy equality bunch, or whatever, right?" This time, Cang Ho didn't show an angry expression anymore. His face was strangely calm. "What the hell do you know?" Then Seung Han looked up at the giant barrier above and asked, "This thing looks pretty dangerous. Is this your final move? I don't have much strength left either." "Too bad. I have a question. In the future, if I grow up like that bitch Shinka said, would I be able to defeat you then, Cang Ho?" Cang Ho replied to Seung Han, "You can dream on or wait for your next life, because you're going to die right here." Shinka's group and the villains outside suddenly noticed that this giant red barrier was starting to show some strange movement. What's happening in there? Perhaps because she had a bad feeling, Shinka used her spatial ability to go inside and see. But the moment she saw what was happening inside, astonishment and fear were clearly written on Shinka's face, because at this moment, that kid Seung Han was impaled with countless arrows of Cang Ho's power. His eyes had become lifeless. It seemed the battle between the two monsters had truly come to an end.